I'm done thinking about it. All right, well, we're back. I hope everybody had a good vacation.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I did not, because I didn't take a fucking vacation.
Cry about it.
Me either, really. Me either, really. But it was a vacation from the Dungeons and Dragons. I was gonna say.
Say it, fucker.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. As
Say
I
it,
was
bitch.
saying it, I can understand it. All right, it's time for introductions here. In no particular order. The introductions go from. Oh wait, hold on. Did I turn on your guys' mic?
Fuck?
Yes, I did. Okay.
Oh my
Okay,
God,
everything's
Your
ready.
mama.
All right. Starting at the top there, we got.
Like you said, it was no particular order.
Yeah, in the particular order as
Yeah,
in, like,
he-
as I see it in the chat. Shut your mouth.
Lying.
AGTX the Dragons. And
There
he
you
will
go.
be, yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm pronouncing it exactly as it's written.
You need a hug.
And
It's
he
a
will
step in the right direction.
It's a start. And he will be playing our resident take, Quill. Everybody, give him a hand. All right.
Oh yeah, give me a hand. Yes, yeah.
Coming up next, we have Kassid69, and she will be playing Agaricus.
Hey.
He's something. He's our something at this point. He's a mystery, wrapped in an enigma.
Keep it
Next, we have Icy Hot. Because I can't see your name correctly, I can't remember exactly all the numbers and crap that come after it. So it's like icy hot underscore something 69. There you go. There you go. And I'm guessing on that number just because it seems like that would be the number you'd put there. All right. Then we have Ness. Oh, Icy Hot will be playing our druid, Zoltan Heisenberg. Yes, Zoltan Heisenberg, our resident druid. Ness will be playing Android Frizen, our paladin / bard.
What's happening?
All right. Unit 620, who is normally here, he's on a bit of a hiatus right now. Normally he plays Elsa Blackwell, but he won't be joining us for a while, but I just wanted to mention that he exists. And then I'm your DM, Lord Pog. Please. No applause, no.
Oh, we promised there won't be any.
You say the things that hurt me the most. All right, so let's play some D&D, folks. So, okay, about 2 weeks ago is where we left off. And 2 weeks ago, you guys managed to kill the undead Formian Queen. So, technically, you killed the Formian Queen again. And you found... Yeah, you found the source of her power, or what was bringing her back to life, which happened to be not like an entity, not like a necromancer of any sort, or a lich or something. It turned out to be an orb, the type of which, Android, you've seen up close one of these before. Quill, you've dealt with one of these things before, the backlash of one of these things before. You know that it puts off like negative necrotic energy, and it can resurrect the dead, basically. you guys came into these tunnels originally chasing a bounty of a Sunder barbarian by the name of Magus, and ended up teaming up with him to take down these undead scourge, if you will. And he went to destroy the orb himself, and you guys were ambushed by a creature that you have not ever seen before. It's got like one of those thin, nimble bodies, but its hands and its feet are spikes, like swords. And it dropped down from the ceiling and chopped Dragon Magus's head off, and then it bowed before the orb. The orb started breaking apart, but before it did, it released a what looked like a wraith made out of pure negative energy. And that wraith had one thing to say to you guys before destroying the orb, or beginning the destruction of the orb, and it said to you, "We meet again." And then poof,
Oh, right.
and then
I thought it was gonna say it brings all the milkshakes to the or some shit.
It said, your mom's a hoe.
yeah.
It said, whoever threw that paper, your mom's a hoe.
Well, I'll tell you what. You guys can interpret what he said any way you want. All right.
Yeah, I'm right, I can.
Nothing's set in stone there. But yeah. So that is basically what has happened. Now after he absorbed into the orb started to break apart, and the corridor that you guys are standing in is starting to collapse upon you. And that's where we left off. The orb is being destroyed. This unknown entity has destroyed itself.
Oh, right.
And the whole cave is starting to collapse. Android, you did mention that you grabbed Draken Magus's head and picked it up, and
Said I what?
you grabbed Draken Magus's head and stuffed it in your bag of holding.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, because you still had a bounty on him.
Yep.
And there you are. Let's play some D&D, folks. The tunnel. Yeah.
You know what? It's been good, y'all. I think I quit. I'm gonna die.
Hey, time to roll up a new character.
Yeah, no shit.
So the cave begins to collapse, and you all, naturally, I don't think any of you are going to just hang around, so you all go rushing out, right?
Yeah.
We'll pick up with it. The whole infrastructure of this area just begins to collapse. It's not just this one little area. Like, it's almost like a bomb went off inside this place. And you see as that all too familiar chaotic energy is just forming itself around the tunnels as it just starts collapsing it around you guys, and you guys are just hauling rear end to get out of this cave. You do notice that there is an exit because you're so close to the surface that you guys just take that just in time to escape as the whole infrastructure of it collapses, and you find yourself back inside the giant hills, actually. Where yeah, you completely popped out on the other side of where you entered in, if that makes any sense. If you look at the Roll20, you'll see where you are marked on the map, and I want you to let's see here. Ooh. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. Come on.
Android's gonna look at you, Quill, and be like, did we just fuck up?
You guys ended up like out around here, out in the roundabouts, though, just so you know. Anyways, don't let me interrupt you. Continue.
Yeah.
We seem safe right now, but judging by those things, I think we just fucked up.
I mean, just stuff and things, man. It's always stuff and things. It'll be OBKB. If not, we'll poke it with a stick.
Android checks his shadow and leaves it at that.
Roll. Roll a spot. Where am I? Oh, there we are.
Spot, you say.
A spot. A spot, I say. Spot on, spot on. Yes, yes. Quite. Alright, you don't see nothing.
Good.
Rock on.
Keep it that way.
As you guys are cleaning yourselves off and kind of getting, contemplating, I guess, what just happened. You are suddenly aware of the sound of something that's something's approaching you from the hills, and it sounds a lot like Quill would, right? It sounds like it's wearing armor with lots of weapons clanging around on it and everything. It's not being too secretive as it crests one of the hills and just starts sliding down towards you guys. You guys can see him as he starts to approach you. He's a hobgoblin that is all clad in armor and weapons. Not like any particular hobgoblin you've ever seen before, though. This one, he doesn't fit the typical hobgoblin criteria, I guess you could say.
Wait, a stereotype.
Yeah, but he's a hobgoblin nevertheless, which means he's about the size of, I guess they're medium creatures, really. He's about like the size of a dwarf, really, a hobgoblin.
Like 4'11", 5 foot.
Yeah, something like that. Well, no, he'd be
He's
more.
taller than me.
Yeah, he's taller than you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're fucking tiny.
She goes, "Aw." Yeah, he's like 5'1", 5'3". He's about the size of a dwarf. Not as stout, but he is muscular. He doesn't look like he belongs to any particular clan or anything, but he comes sliding down because you guys have ran into hobgoblin raiders and different things like that. He appears to be his own being, if you will, his own, Then he comes sliding down and he just stops and looks at all of you and he says, "Well," and then he speaks. He says something to you. Does anybody understand Goblinoid? Does anybody speak Goblinoid?
I don't know. But I don't. With the 85 million languages. Open. No.
While you guys are seeing that, I'm gonna roll something real quick here. Oh, yeah, I guess you would. Okay. So nobody speaks Goblinoid, right?
No, but I suppose I could cast tongues.
Well, if you don't want to, you don't have to,
I suppose I will.
Okay. And you're like, no,
Android,
I think I want to.
Yeah. No,
He's like, I think I want to show off a little.
All right, Andrew, so you hum yourself a little ditty. You're like, "Talk to me," and it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the song you sing. I'm just saying. Anyways, but
The song of my people.
your throat.
For some reason, he's singing "Rat in a Cage."
The spider. Yeah, so your ears and your throat glow for a minute, and then you can understand what he's saying to you perfectly. He's looking at you, And you can see that he's like inspecting your badges. You know?
Yeah,
And he
like
says,
our Inglorious Few from Corlon Lorethian.
yeah, exactly. And he says, oh, the Inglorious Few, I see.
Oh, yes.
He, he
No
kind of
point in hiding it if you recognize us.
looks at you for a minute like, almost shocked that you can understand him. And then he kind of like gets one of those shrewd looks on his face and his eyes kind of squint suspiciously. He goes, magic?
No, your mother.
A keener eye be it still.
This is fair enough. Says, I tracked my prey to this cave here that you all seem to have collapsed. Y'all didn't happen to run into a barbarian in there, did you?
Perhaps? What kind?
Says, oh, you know, the worst kind.
Well, we've seen a few barbarians on our path. And sorry about the cave, that's kind of our doing as well. As a matter of fact, we should probably get out of here.
Why is that?
You know, shit going down in the cave. There may be more shit collapsing. You don't want to be caught up in like a sinkhole.
Yes.
The ground's unstable.
Says, I see. He goes, well, unless you've ran across my prey and took him for your own, I can't quite abandon this. There's a bounty on this. I intend to collect.
Well, the android kind of looks at you, Quill. He's like, shall we leave him to it?
Your call, boss?
Kind of like, wink wink. Can android like roll a sense motive to see if he can tell whether or not he will like try and attack us to try and claim the head from us?
Sure.
Because I'm kind of suspecting he's talking about Drakid Magus.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to. So, you measure him, you measure his words, you read his body language. Everything about him actually seems really relaxed. For a hobgoblin, you're used to hobgoblins acting real savage and almost like kill and loot and steal on sight type of things, Even though this one looks completely original to any hobgoblin you've ever seen, he doesn't act like a hobgoblin, There's something civil about him. He doesn't seem anxious, he doesn't seem overly aggressive. However, you do notice though that he is like in a stance and he's measuring all of you as well, almost as if he's wondering the same thing about you that you're wondering about him.
Right.
I look at him, and he looks at me.
Yeah. Now look at him.
Yes.
He's wanting this ketchup. I get it.
Yeah.
Android's gonna be like, well, I'm gonna ask you something, and if this happens to be the case, perhaps we can reach some sort of agreement. And he says, you're a unique sort. I'm sure you understand that. And I don't want any conflict with you. He says, we have we were here to collect the bounty on Drac and Magus. Would you happen to be searching for the same fellow?
He goes, did you get him?
Android kind of nods, gives him like a nod with his eyes closed.
He takes his axe and lets it like fall from his shoulder and just hit the ground, and he just looks really like disappointed. He's like, by the 9 hells.
He says, but if you will come with us and leave this area, because as I've said, it's become unstable in a way. You could tell me a bit about yourself, and perhaps we can reach some sort of agreement about this so that we can avoid conflict. I don't wish to fight you any more than you wish to fight us, I'm sure.
He goes, let me ask you something. Let me ask you. You seem like a pretty reasonable fella. The legends are true about you and your group, at least about you. Anyways,
he says you seem like what?
A reasonable fella.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, the legends about you and your crew must be true. At least about you, anyways. He's like, you're the talker. The stories go, there was one that always talks, and so on and so forth. And goes, let me ask you, what?
When he says that, Yuko just kind of like throws his hands up in the air and just kind of like walks off.
He goes, oh, don't be so upset, little big fella over there. I know about you as well. But you can't understand a thing that he's saying to you. All you see is him just pointing at you saying,
Yeah, Yuko has no idea what's being said. He's just tired of standing around. He's like, what the fuck is going on?
To you, it sounds like he's just pointing at you going,
Fucking Asians.
Zabadoo.
Those Asians. I know it's.
It's like the Sim meets Asians. Like, what the fuck is this?
What? Anyway, so he but he turns to you, Android, and he says, let me ask you something though. What in the 9 hells is legendary adventurers like yourselves doing collecting simple bounties when people like me who make a living off of it are actually out here halfway killing ourselves to do it, and yet you guys who are you just disappear, reappear, and what? And are you even registered? Are you even registered with the quest givers?
Android smiles at him. He says, I understand your plight, sir, and that's what we're trying to make right. I am employed for this bounty by several major cities, and there is more to this than meets the eye. You know, as you said, legends are told. He says, let me tell you a little something. He says, I've recently come into an inheritance under a merchant's guild, where we are employing people such as yourself for work such as this. Android kind of, gives him the rundown of the merchant's guild, where it's located, what they're doing, who to talk to. He says, if you're looking for work, you can spread the word. This is what we're doing. We're trying to make this. He says, there is more going on in the world than what we, inglorious few, can take care of on our own. We need people such as yourself to help out.
Says, oh, well, that's interesting, but if you're gonna do that, you gotta go through the proper channels. You need to get yourself a quest giver.
Gotta go through what?
The proper channels. You gotta go through the quest givers. He goes, don't tell me you've never heard of the quest givers.
I mean, I have
Where are
not
these NPCs?
myself, but Sebastian probably does. He is my liaison and has helped me undergo much of the renovations for the guild.
He says, all right, well, where you said you're a merchant's guild. You're one of the guilds. You're one of the, but you're a house. You're not just a guild. You're an actual house, are ye?
We yes, we're House Prison.
House Prison.
Prison Manor.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. When you get back to White Sword, and he gives you directions, right? He says don't
Directions to
even
White Sword.
Well, no, he gives you directions to where you're gonna go when you get to White Sword, right?
Oh, I
He
see.
says he knows that you're based out of White Sword because you're one of the houses, right?
Right.
But like his whole thing is like, okay, don't even worry about your liaison. Let your liaison deal with this once you've introduced yourselves. Basically, is what he's explaining to you. And then he gives you directions of a place to go. He says, now do not be discouraged when you get there. Don't be fooled. It'll look just like a wall, like a out of the way hole in the wall, if you will. There'll be a door there. Go and knock on the door and tell them Juxta sent you. All right?
Juxa.
Juxta the Slayer. That's what I'm known as.
Juxa the Slayer.
Slayer.
No. He said the Slayer.
Juxta
Damn.
the Slayer.
The Slayer.
That's right.
You gotta have that A on it.
Everybody knows me. All right? You go ahead and collect the bounty on this one. I've got plenty of others. But you go and you start talking to the quest givers and you get yourself a license to do this. And perhaps if they decide to merge with you, I'll be of better service to you. But it seems to me, you boys, and he looks at you, Agaragis, and goes, whatever that is. He says, it seems to me you all don't really know about adventuring all too much. It seems like you guys are accidental heroes, if you will. Your world just got a lot bigger. All right? There are certain etiquettes that you have to follow in this, and your liaison really may not even be aware of all of them. So, it's gonna look better.
Your liaison, what? You're kind of cutting out a little bit.
Your liaison might not be all completely aware of all of it.
Oh, I see.
So, it's better if you go and introduce yourselves in person.
Okay,
All right?
I'll take your advice.
Go talk to the innkeeper. He'll set you straight. He says, well, I'll see you all later, I think. And with that, he begins to make his way, like he walks past all of you and begins making his way up the hills. kind of grumbling to himself a little bit, like, shit. And he vanishes into the forest, into the hills. So now you all. Oh.
Now Android, real quick, is gonna give everybody the rundown of what just happened, since nobody else can understand.
Any bit of that. Yeah. Again, to all of them, it just sounds like. Like at one point in time, he's like flicking his tongue. He's like.
Ew.
Yeah, it's that nice slurpy, did you? It's like,
Yeah, to Android, it sounds like all reasonable and polite dialect, but everybody else, it just looks as crazy as can be.
And Android's going right along with it, doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, Android's just like.
Look at this.
It's like the SpongeBob's cartoons where his tongue is like hanging out of his mouth and just licking the whole rim of his face. Just, Oh shoot. Alright, so yeah. So you inform the party, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Alright, so now you all are aware of what just transpired between Juxta and Android. You all also have the head of Draken Magus, and you are presented with two options. Technically, Dylan Owens, the sovereign of Whitesword, is the one that put Android upon this path. However, Brutus Bearclaw also said that if you bring him the head, well, his wife, actually, his queen, Deborah, she's the one that actually said that if you bring them the head, she'll open up a trade with you, with your guys' guild, your house.
Okay, but Dylan Owens didn't request for the head specifically. He just requested for confirmation that he is dead, correct?
Correct.
So let's return the head to Brutus Bearclaw's wife, and then go inform Dylan Owens of what's what, and then we'll head back to Whitesword. Gucci Mane? Or head back to, like, Prison Manor.
Sure.
That sounds unsure.
Why not?
Unless there's other things to add to the agenda.
Oh, there's always
I
other
mean,
things.
don't let me stunt your growth.
There's always things. We've got so much shit to do, we don't even know where to start.
Facts.
Yeah.
Alas.
Yeah. So, you guys are headed towards where? Exactly.
Yo, Mama house, motherfucker, that's where.
I guess, is it Bearclaw that's the capital city? With Brutus Bearclaw's wife, or?
That capital city is actually called... It's called Grey Bear.
Grey Bear. Then we're headed to Grey Bear.
Alright. So you all begin making a trek to Grey Bear. It takes you...
From here, can we hop on Solar and fly a distance?
You could make it probably about... Let's see here, 50... 100... You could probably make it about 100 miles before you'd have to dismount. You won't... You'll be in the Bear Hills, which will be safe, but any further in, and you might get shot at.
Alright, fair enough. Let's do it.
Alright, so Solar, he, transforms into his giant eagle form and lets you all on his back as he flies you guys about 100 feet to, in that direction. Before, before you guys get in there, and you can see, the towers, the watchtowers and stuff that the Grave Bear or Bear Grave barbarians have set up and stuff, and you can already see them out there just kind of watching you all in the distance as you begin to land and dismount and everything. They're still quite a ways off, so you're not in any danger, but odds are they saw you. But
Word.
yeah, you don't hear any noises though. You don't hear like any horns or any drums or anything start going off like like you guys are still just enough, like you've made it just far enough into the Bear Hills, but you're just enough, like still close enough to the Giant Hills that probably you don't actually surprise them. They're probably used to being able to see crazy stuff happen off in the distance all the time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, because I mean, it is the Giant Hills, right? They probably see
Fair enough.
ridiculous stuff. So, but yeah, At this rate now, you guys probably have maybe like another 100 miles to go before you'll actually get to Gray Bear. But, yeah. You all begin traveling, and, I'm gonna say it takes you at, what, 100 miles just walking? Takes you a couple of days because I don't really see you guys as rushing it nearly as much, you know? Takes you about, maybe about a week to cover it, just because you're not, which will allow you guys
Pushing
to,
it.
yeah, which will allow you guys to eat and sleep as well, so,
Yeah, be in good shape.
yeah, and recoup a little bit from the crap you just went through. Through the garbage that I just put you all through.
It'd be like that.
It do be like that. But you do.
Hello from the other side.
You all do eventually, you do reach, Gray Bear eventually. And as you approach, you see, not the barbarians, but the actual fighters. But nobody hinders your progress. It's like they've all been informed to be watching for you now. As you know, so as you guys enter towards the gate, the opening gates and stuff, they just let you pass. They inspect you, you know, and it's almost like they're making notes in their head or something. Like they look at you, Android, for a minute, and then check your badge. They look at you, Yukwil, check your badge. They look at you, Agaragis, and then they pull out like a. They look at you, Agaragis, and they pull out like kind of like what looks like a checklist or something, and they're looking you over and almost like they're checking stuff off, and they're like, yeah, fits, and then they look at you, Zoltan, and they nod and they just wave you all through and let you guys into the city. So you guys make your way to the. I'm gonna turn that down a little bit because I can hear Jason in the background real heavy. That's throwing me off a little bit.
Word.
Yeah. But yeah. So you guys make it there and you approach. Unless you have any other plans, anything else you'd like to do before making your way directly to Brutus, I'm just gonna say you all go to Brutus.
Sounds good.
All right, so you guys approach there, and you see Brutus sitting upon his throne, with Deborah standing next to him and everything, sitting in her throne as well. I guess she's not sitting or standing; she's sitting. But and as you guys enter, Deborah steps up, like stands up instantly, and then like makes her way down basically off the stage, the raised landing towards you guys, you know. And she's just like, "You've returned. Tell me,
Indeed.
tell me, were you successful?"
Android nods politely.
Whips out his head. Never specified which one.
Damn!
Do what?
Uh,
Let me get this straight. I just want to make sure I heard this right. Okay, I'm going to ask you this one time. Did you say that you just exposed your member to the Queen? Let me make sure I hear this right.
not Android.
No, I know. No, I'm talking to Zoltan. Did you do that, Zoltan?
No, I was joking around.
Are you sure? I mean, it's D&D. You can do whatever you want.
I don't wish to roll a new character.
All right, fair enough, I guess. I was just seeing if you were like, if you were being like just, you know, bold or whatever. Like, yeah, Hey, baby, what's up?
What is
I was gonna be like, oh, okay. Okay,
Call
well.
me Mr. Fear Girl.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, all right, well, that's pretty bold. There we go. Be like,
What a
yeah,
man.
yeah. Like, okay. So Brutus stands up. No.
I'm not
She's
gonna
that
have
sword fight.
Yeah. Picks you up by your face, your whole face. He palms you by your face. Okay.
You cool gets up the popcorn.
So
I don't
Yeah.
know. By the way she's looking, I might actually do it.
Yeah. Just for the listeners at home, just to describe them, Brutus is a barbarian male human who stands close to 7 feet tall, and he's just pure muscle with a long
No
silver
shot.
mane and beard and mustache to match it. He looks like the years have taken their toll on him. Deborah is his wife, and she is a barbarian woman with long, fiery red hair, and is attractive. The funny thing is Brutus's last name is Bearclaw, and Deborah's last name is Attila. But
Brutus is Deborah's what?
Brutus's last name is Bearclaw, and his wife, his queen, Deborah, her last name is Attila. They do.
You're like real choppy.
The thing about Deborah and Brutus is the fact that Brutus and Deborah do not share the same last name. They never have.
Nah, I see.
Yeah, but yet they're king and queen, and the reason for that is because Brutus's whole purpose behind that, and I'm just rehashing it. He explained it once, like way back, but because we weren't recording in those days, I just feel it right to explain it now. But the reason for that, Brutus explained, is because that is what taking the same last name makes no sense to him. Just because you're like, technically they're not even married by like normal societal standards.
So
They've just chosen to be life companions with one another. And so to him, because he left that society behind. You know how he feels about society in general. So, like, to him, even having the same last name makes it feel too much like he's living his old life, and he hates that. So he's just like, no, keep your last name. We just, we're just together, and that's fine. I'm your king, you're my queen. Let's roll, type of attitude.
So I can respect that.
Yeah.
The curtains match the drapes.
So,
What?
so she looks at you all and she says, I hope that you're you were all successful in your endeavor.
Android nods to her politely.
She says, did you bring me his head?
He says, I have. Do you wish it presented here?
She looks over her shoulder and at Brutus, and he just nods. She says, yes. Let's see it.
Then Android reaches into his bag of holding and pulls it out and presents it.
She says, oh, it is. It's Draken Magus himself. She takes it from you and walks over and presents it at the feet of Brutus, who takes a look at it. And then, like, with one foot, he just, like, swiftly kicks it, like, soccer kicks it right off the stage, and it just goes flying and boom, and rolls across the ground. He goes, good. Says,
Zoltan claps his hands.
He says, so I suppose you all are expecting us to uphold our end of the deal then. Deborah tells me that you all talked to her about possibly exporting our ale from here to your manor, correct?
If it pleases the king.
Says, well, normally I wouldn't do it. However, my wife can be extremely persuasive when she wants to be. I see no problem in that. We'll begin shipments as soon as possible. Get me an information. Who do I need to talk to about price and things of that nature?
Seek out Frizen Manor and Sebastian, my liaison, in Whitesword. In the nation of Whitesword.
Says, alright. I'm familiar with the guilds and the different houses and such from my time as a paladin in Whitesword, so I know a little bit about it. I'll send a courier there, a messenger there, to work that out with Sebastian, you say?
Correct.
Alright. Says, well, I suppose our business here is done then. Unless there's something else you need of me.
I believe that'll be all, sir.
Says, alright. If you want, I can furbish you a carriage that'll take you anywhere you need to go.
That would be excellent.
Yes, my scouts reported back to me about what happened to the last carriage that you all took. Bad luck, all that.
Andric kind of scratches his the back of his head, and he's like, "Yes, my apologies. It's a shame, but I hope that the profits that you can make with my merchant's guild will make up for the fact."
So it's no big deal, really. It was meant to do what it did, so I'm not too upset about it. However, I did half suspect that you all met your demise when I heard about the devastation. He goes, yeah. That from what I understand, it looked really bad. So, but you're here, and you upheld your end of the bargain, so you all are welcome to stay here in Beargrave for a little while, or you're welcome to leave whenever you're ready. Till then, go away. No, I'm just kidding. Says, until then, well met. And he just leans back into his throne and begins to rub his chin some more and think.
Android says many thanks, and then he kind of turns and I guess they take their leave.
Deborah follows you all as you guys are leaving, and she says, well, we'll send our messenger, and yeah. Were you all planning on staying for a little while, or were you planning on leaving now? If you're planning on leaving now, I can get that carriage ready for you.
Android kind of looks to you, Quill, and the others, and he says, well, I was kind of thinking of leaving now, but that's up for, debate, I guess. For lack of a better word, we can stay if anybody wants and or needs, but otherwise, I think it'd be good that we go now.
Well, there's no objections. No. We did what we needed and got what we came for? Question mark?
Yeah, I believe so. So yes, I suppose we'll be going.
She says, very well then. I will have that carriage ready for you at the main gate. I will give instructions for them to meet you there.
Very well, thank you.
She says, yes, it's nice to see you all again. Brutus doesn't like to remember those days when him and Coralon actually teamed up to stop Groomsh. But I think of him fondly. You know? I think he doesn't like to think about it because of the fact that he was a stubborn man and missed out on what would have been a beneficial friendship with Coralon. But I don't know. Some people
You live
don't.
and you learn.
Yeah. Some folks don't like to think about their past mistakes. She says, I find that we grow stronger from them. So, regardless, good luck to you all and your future endeavors. And we will make sure that you all get the Graven Ale as soon as we can produce enough. Okay? Okay.
Thank you.
And you all make your way to the entrance gate, and after a little bit, the carriage shows up, and as you all are loading up into the carriage, Solar mentions to the party, he says, there was one issue, maybe, before we return the White Sword, that we may want to look into.
What's that?
Says, well, it's the issue of Lorethian and the little civil war that they may be having going on over there.
Okay, we should talk about looking out there.
Yeah. That may be a good idea.
As I know you did mention to me before that you did want to say you wanted to say goodbye to Yoshi before leaving anyways, so
This is true.
because I don't know if because I don't even know if there's really like a full-fledged civil war going on over there, but tensions were high, so. And not to pass blame or anything, but a lot of people are saying it's your fault, so. Maybe making an appearance for Yoshi's sake might not hurt.
Very well. That's a good idea. We should probably do so.
All right. So the carriage, after being informed of where you guys are headed, the carriage begins its trek towards Lorethian and the capital city of Coralon. You all begin your trek there. He drives. It moves like day and night. You all get to rest some more and everything, but it doesn't take like nearly as long because he's going. When you make it to Nowhere Forest, of course, you have to slow down just because it becomes a more difficult path, but it's still a path nevertheless. And you all make it to the capital city of Coralon. And you are instantly met with, not with hostility, but the second you all step out of the carriage, elves are stopping to look at you. And they're instantly like whispering at each other and whatnot. You know, they're looking, they're talking, and they're pointing in your directions and everything.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, they almost, they weren't necessarily. You could tell that they've been talking about you. Let me put it like this:
We them boys.
you guys have, yeah,
Yeah, for real.
have been a subject of conversation, of topic, yes, here recently. So, what are you all doing right now, as it stands?
Taking a bow.
I guess we're gonna. I don't know. Go
Looks like I think they're
see
looking at the
Helm?
mushroom.
Question mark? I guess.
Will you all hold on a second? Just 1 second, I'm sorry.
Okay,
What?
you're good.
One.
Is there a fucking echo in here?
I don't know, is this? The fuck you gonna do about it? Oh, I swear to God.
Kick it in the balls?
Well, bring it on, you sucker!
Please?
I've already threatened to travel time, by the way.
I knew Vin liked cock and ball torture.
Mm. This is a weird conversation.
And here I was forgetting the youngster was with us. This is the sound of rejuvenation. Oh. Get a little asthma up in this motherfucker.
Slap some wing on it.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. All right, I'm back. All right, so what are you all doing? I'm sorry.
Your mom.
Yeah, you better watch your mouth, little boy. Anyways,
I'm not little.
you would be to my mom.
Damn! That's the spirit. Because if it's not wild, it doesn't make you question your sanity. Your mom. Whoa, wait.
Whoa. Yeah, so what are y'all doing? I'm sorry.
Taking a bow.
Oh, I guess going to see Kelm? Question mark. I guess that would be the best course of action.
Yeah, Yuko just took notice of everybody looking at us, and he was like, I think they're looking at the mushroom thing.
Raise it up.
Yeah.
The android's like, do I still have the hand on my face? Like, what's the deal? Do I still have a crusty, bloody hand on my face? Like, what's the deal?
Have you washed at all? Can you recall a time that you
Yeah, I
washed?
don't remember a time that I've washed.
Then
so-
yes, you've got the remnants of a bloody, crusty hand on your face. Yes, you sure do. And you all also have a little mushroom creature with you now, and you've returned with a. Oh yeah, and you've returned with Zoltan, also a half drow.
So that's gonna go along.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So you guys have definitely returned. Plus, when you all left, it was Android, Uquil, Yarman, and Elsa. Well, Yarman has returned dead, and Elsa's nowhere to be seen. Yeah. Elsa's nowhere to be
Sorry.
seen, so now you have, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, yeah, so now, but so you guys left that way, you returned this way. Yeah,
You know,
it is, yeah, it's different.
you win some, you lose some, you know?
Y'all make your way to the hall, and you are greeted by Kelm, the elven man with his dire wolf lash. And Kelm just looks at you
Isn't
all.
that the one that had the heart on for Yoshi the whole time?
He didn't.
More the opposite.
He was more like he was just more like brotherly to her than yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He felt
More
that,
the reverse.
What are you doing, step brother?
it was more
Oh
the
no, step bro.
I felt like it was the other way around. I kind of felt like it was the other way around, really, with when it came to them. I felt like Yoshi really kind of like fancied him, and he was just real protective of her. But whatever, you know, y'all come up with whatever mythos you want. It's D&D. But yeah, so Kelm like sees you all enter, and he stands up and just kind of he goes, "Welcome." Not to sound rude, but how many people saw you come into town?
Probably all of them. Let's go.
He says, "All right then. Well,"
Sorry about that.
he's like, "No problem, no problem." And he looks at Lash, and Lash looks up at him and nods, and you see as Lash like it instantly jumps up and then goes running and just like moves past you all and out the back, out the door behind you all. And he says, "Don't worry about him." He says, "I suppose you've come to talk to Yoshi, yes?"
I mean, yes, but also you, I suppose.
Evidently you, since we were now supposed to intercede. Question mark? Did I miss
Yeah, I
something?
mean, you know, you the man. You the man too.
He
We'd like to
says,
talk to you as well.
"I'm sorry. I'm being incredibly rude." He says,
No, you're okay.
he stands up and he like calms himself down a little bit and salutes you all, you know, with the one single hand over his chest like you all remember back in the day, you know, and he bows and he goes, "Greetings, friends." He says, "We've had a bit of an issue since you all left and Yarman was returned to us, you know, deceased. By orcs, no less, which was strange." He says, strange and welcomed, though. Never in my life would I have ever thought that an orc would respect one of our kind so wonderfully. They honored him in ways that I just never would have thought that orcs would in Elf. But nevertheless, it has caused issues. It seems that old issues have re-arisen. Not everybody forgot the way Kel regarded you all originally those years ago. And the fact that Kale left with you and never returned. Now Yarman goes out with you and doesn't return. Orlon the Rethian, I never blamed you for that.
Oh, we're like a pat on there. Cool.
But
Wait.
you have to understand that there's a lot of us who are starting to think that maybe you're bad omens.
Understandably.
Love you too, boo.
Not me. I don't. But he goes, I know. I traveled with you all. I know what can happen. And he goes, and I know Corlon. He willingly gave himself to protect you. So, at least that's what Yoshi told me, and I trust her. The problem is that not all the Wolf Lords are seeing her with the same respect that they saw her father. And so,
Reasonable.
yeah. So we have kind of a bit of an issue here right now. The High Elves and the Wood Elves are starting to bicker with one another. I myself being a Wood Elf and being, I don't know, more reasonable. The Wood Elves still hold you all in a high esteem. It's the high elves that seem to be having issue, and unfortunately most of the wolf lords themselves are high elves, and so you can see where we're having issue. I've sent Lash to inform the rest of his brothers that you all have arrived, and I will take you to Yoshi, and she can speak with you on this more if you'd like.
Indroid says, "Okay, that would be good, but yeah, okay, yeah, let's do that. I guess Android's gonna fill him in on what we've done up to this point, like what we got wrapped up in, kind of chasing a rabbit hole." He says, "But we've returned now. Apologies for the delay."
Says, not at all. Says, in fact, we still have some of those. Those men are still here in our city. Now that we know what their intentions are, I can comfortably kick them out on their heads. So, no big issue to me there. I'm just glad you... Devils, you say, from the 9 hells.
Unfortunately, or so it appears.
The orcs spoke of it. They said that Yarman himself stood up to one. The greatest in their ranks. He just wasn't able to defeat him, I guess.
Unfortunately, we were unable to reach him in time, but he held the line long enough for us to arrive, and it's regrettable that he had to die in such a way, but he was very valiant in his final moments.
As you guys are walking, you see Kelm just kind of staring at the ground as he's walking. His face is like grim now, and he goes, I hate that. I hate the fact that we're just losing people like this. Says, I don't know how Lorethian is going to be able to survive if we keep losing all our strongest warriors. He goes, as it stands now, Yarman was the greatest of a certain branch of our people. The champions is what they're called. The champions of Corlon Lorethian. It's mainly an honorable name. It's a title, really. As far as I know, Corlon himself doesn't actually talk to these champions, but he was one of 3, and he was the greatest of the 3. The other 2 are quite young. You have Ariana, and then you have Landry, and both of them, they're quite young for their positions. I don't really know what we're going to do now. And then he says something in Elvish that's just basically like, it's the equivalent of saying like oi, like oy vey.
Yeah.
You know? And he's like, anyways, let us continue on though. And he brings you guys to the temple of Yoshi, where you see Yoshi sitting with Tala, her grove guardian. Yoshi is an elven girl, and she's got what looks to be a direwolf itself, but it's much larger than your typical direwolf, and it looks like it's made out of like nature. Like it's one part animal, one part nature. Like some of its fur looks as if it's like leaves on a tree, and it looks like parts of its like muscular system might be like what you would see like roots. Yoshi herself, yeah, she just looks like she looks like a young girl, but she's actually quite old at this point. Much like her father, Coralon, she's 12. Yeah, she doesn't tell you her age. You can't be sure what her age is. She seems to have picked up a lot of her father's habits. Kelm himself is an older elven man with long red hair and a beard and mustache, actually. He looks like he could be half-elf, but he's not. Wood
He's
elves...
low-key Scottish.
Yeah, like wood elves and wild elves are known to be able to grow beards and mustaches, actually. And and his dire wolf Lash is a large white wolf with steel blue eyes and has got like scars across his snout and stuff. I'm describing this for the listeners, you know. You guys know what
Yeah,
they
you're
look
good.
like, but I just feel like if we're going to record this, let's record this. So,
You're good.
anyways, so Yoshi approaches you all as you enter, and she says, "Welcome, welcome. I am glad you all are here." Says, I almost worried that maybe you wouldn't come.
Well, Solar kicked us in the ass. So we made haste to get on our way here.
When you say that, she nods to Solar, and Solar nods to her. She says, "Oh, good. I left him message. Speaking of what, you know, of what some of our issues here were. He escorted the orcs that returned the body of Yarman to us. So he's pretty aware of what is actually taking place here now as a result of Yarman's death. I'm sure Kelm has informed you of the issue between the High Elves and the Wood Elves as well."
That is correct.
The issue here is that the High Elves feel that what we need to do is make a campaign into the Giant Hills. Not with the intent of conquering the entire country in of itself, but just carving out a chunk of it for ourselves, so we can have an upper Lorethian and a lower Lorethian. It seems that the High Elves are done being led by a Wood Elf, and she motions to Kelm. She goes, "As I am not actually the leader of our people, but more of a guide and advisor, but at the end of the day, Kelm is the leader of our people. They aren't happy with what a Wood Elf is doing, and especially since he happens to be an ally to you now, who the High Elves are looking at as bad omens." Says, "I don't know if any of that makes any sense, but that is the issue, the political issue that we're having here in our country now. They want to split our capital city into two halves."
Yes, this is a dire situation.
It's not good, considering that most of the Wolf Lords are High Elves. If they do this, they will go to Upper Lorethian, or they'll go to Upper Coralon, and leave Lower Coralon basically to its own devices. They will elect a new, leader of the Wolf Lords and everything. It'll be like two different cities, basically. And I feel like if they do that, I know the way that they're thinking. If they do that, they are going to, without a shadow of a doubt, begin to make campaigns into the rest of the Giant Hills, and they're gonna succeed. They won't stay a part of us for long. They'll make their own Lorethian.
Well, what do you suggest we do?
She goes, honestly, I don't really know. That's the problem. If my power wasn't so weakened, she goes, that's another thing. She goes, we're losing touch with nature. The trees of Lorethian are no longer as susceptible to our wants, if it were.
Well, there's been a lot of urbanization, as it were.
She goes, that's one thing. Yes. She goes, but it's different than that. She goes, and I feel like you might know something about this, android. She looks at the rest of you, and the rest of you, really. And she looks at you, Agaragis, and she looks at you, Zoltan, and she goes, oh, huh. Interesting. And she just holds up a finger and she goes, more on you two in a minute.
Because I'm black.
She goes, but as far as you and, well, you, and she points at you, Quill, I feel like you two might know something more about this. It feels like I'm being cut off from the natural world. And if I can no longer perform my abilities, people are going to lose faith in my word anyways.
As she's starting to say this, the synapses in Android's brain kind of start to spark together, and he's like, how could I be so stupid? And he begins to just start info dumping on her. Like, he's like, oh, yes, you're going to be really displeased about this. And then he just starts laying it on her. You know, just all kinds of things that have happened with the weirds of water and whatnot, and everything that they've done since he saw her last, you know. And he's like, we have stumbled upon an incredibly bad situation. And it's
Equal takes out his pipe and starts doing the chew on kind of like buff while he's standing there. He's just like,
yeah.
he never says anything useful. He's just like,
And I like to imagine that android is just like machine gun spitting all of this at her until he is like has no more breath, and then he stops and takes a deep breath and then starts talking more until he gets to a point where he's like, and it's added on to all of this other shit that we're dealing with, and it's it's probably more than we can handle, to be perfectly honest, but we're gonna figure out what to do about it.
She says, I see. So, just to recap that, you know, because we weren't recording at the time that this all happened, for the listeners at home, to recap this real fast, the party accidentally, and I mean this, accidentally, they found what was known as a weird. And what a weird is in this campaign, it's an elemental being, and the weirds aren't common creatures, and what this water weird did was she gave them the water of life, which in turn caused her demise. When she did that, though, she did that because she was captured. She didn't want to be a slave to the kobolds, and that's a whole other story. But she didn't want to be a slave to these people anymore, and so she gave herself up. Well, now, because she did that, they actually had to meet the Terra Weird, and he gave them the alchemist stone, which is his most prized possession. It's like they're giving their true essence to you. And because now that they're doing that, each weird is tied to the elemental plane, and in those elemental planes sits the elemental primes, who govern the elements for the material plane. They've severed those connections, which means that now they've severed the connection of water and the connection of Terran to the plane, the prime plane. What is that called? The material plane.
Prime material plane.
Yeah, the prime material plane. They've
Circle is real.
yeah, they've severed those connections. So this is why Yoshi
Hashtag
is
flat Earth.
yeah. So this is why Yoshi is now losing her abilities, her druid abilities, because that connection has been severed. And really, it is a slight for other druids. When that happened, the old oak told you guys that it would be a slight gradual thing, but once it starts picking up steam, you'll notice it more, right? So Yoshi explains to you, after you explain this to her, the reason it's affecting her so much more than maybe, say, other druids is because she uses so much of it. Like, her influx of her connection to the nature and that particular plane of existence, is greater than your average druids. And so she's feeling it a lot quicker, because it's like, it takes more to, it's the difference between driving like the version 1 Hummer to like the version 3 Hummer, right?
Be a thirsty bitch.
In gas. Yeah, like it takes so much more gas to power that version 1 Hummer. That's Yoshi. She's a version 1 Hummer. It takes way more gas to power her and her abilities than, say, like Zoltan. Not to diss him, but like,
Hey, bitch.
it doesn't it doesn't take as much to
He's the
power
only one
him.
that got knocked off in high wind.
Well, I mean, there's other druids too. You're not alone, but I mean, that's just
Oh no, I'm talking about you, Quill. He's the
oh,
only one that got over in high wind. The rest of us were still standing.
I'll stick your ass back in the back of the wheel for the back.
Anyways, so she explains that to you all. So when she's done, she's like, in that, so my connection is being severed at a greater rate. She says, this is not good. And for a moment there, you see her kind of like tense up. She looks as if she's about to like be extraordinarily displeased with you. But then you see like something familiar happen. You see her face like soften and her demeanor calm. And it's almost like looking at Corlon again. You recognize this demeanor. And she breathes. Says, well, I guess you'll just have to fix this then, won't you?
Indeed, he says kind of grimly. He says, but in a short time we've already collected 2. So that actually, not to get my hopes up, but it makes me feel as though we've got this, right?
She says, you said that he told you where the other 2 could be found. He showed you it on a map. She
Correct.
She pulls out her world map and lays it out, and she says, now, point it out to me. And I'm just going to assume that you do. We won't, you know what I mean?
So, Android, what is it? Brokheim and Pengshun?
Brokine and Painshun. Yep, the continents of Brokine and Painshun. Which are polar opposites. One's as far west and one's as far east as you can go.
Correct.
She says, odd that it would be Pengshun. And when she says that, you hear a voice behind her says, indeed. It's almost like fate is working in tandem with these degenerates.
What in the fuck, Kanye?
Can I punch it? Can I punch it? Can I punch it? Can I punch it?
As you Quill would say, what in the fuck, Kanye?
You all
Yeah.
see a drow male step out from the shadows behind Yoshi. He is dressed finely, like he wears a fine leather coat and a nice leather vest with a gold chain pocket watch. He's got the long white hair, and he himself
Push it before we go.
he himself actually has a white beard and mustache as well, though he is not half. He is not half
You
half
Quill has a
drow
question for the
like.
class.
Huh?
You Quill has a question for the class.
What's that?
How much does Yuko know of drows? Since he knows a lot of dark folk.
I wouldn't say he knows a lot about drow. But I would
Enough
say
to be enough to be a Chauncey right now.
He knows a lot about dark folk.
You like that?
well, because of where he comes from, but there isn't a lot of
No,
drow
that's
where you come from, actually. Where you come from, there wouldn't be a lot of drow.
He knows enough though where he can be a wee bit of a degenerate right now, yes?
Well, I mean, Uquil does know Sylvan, doesn't he?
I know one of those fucking things. Let me see which one it is.
You know, well,
That's not the character sheet. Pull up the character sheet, piece of shit. I have Elven. Yeah.
Drow typically speak like a mixture of Sylvan and Elvish.
Okay.
Thunder common because they're filthy.
But
That's
I
kind of
mean,
where Uquil's going with this.
Well, what is it that you want to do? And I'll tell you. I'll just tell you if you would know enough to be able to do this. That's the best I could tell you. Because
I figure if Sylvan and Elven is being used, like Uquil would know the word degenerate, and he would respond in kind as takes one to know one looking ass.
Fair enough. I'll say
Well,
that.
and I like to think that it's like if you say something like pantaloons versus pantalones, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it kind of cross references across languages, even to like French.
Yeah.
It's true.
You know,
Yeah.
you could say something in sort of Elven with a half mocking tone
Yeah.
to make it sound like it's supposed to be mocking Sylvan.
Yeah, and that's fine. I can even say that he uses the drow word for degenerate when he enters. You know what I mean? He says it in common up until he uses the word degenerate. Then he uses the drow word for degenerate because he thinks you all won't pick up on it. You know, he thinks he's getting one over on you.
That's when Uquil wants
he
to shoot
steps
back.
forward.
Wants to hit him with this arrow and be like, BAM! Takes one to know one. And just what he feels like flexing today. And in J Chronic, he calls him a floppy wet vagina.
Whoa, gross.
A sloppy wet vagina. Okay.
Wow.
Well, if we're going dick measuring contest, you finally brought Uquil back into a fucking talking contest here.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I'm just
Oh yeah.
so.
Like Uquil did
Hey,
his
somebody
part.
comes in with the insults, you went right to Uquil. The niceties are for this motherfucker.
So when
That's true.
you say that to him in Draconic, right? He doesn't. He has no idea. You could tell he has no idea what you just said, but he knows that you threw an insult at him because he's not stupid, right? And he just kind of giggles a little bit. Just kind of. He goes, case in point, I suppose. Zoltan, roll me an intelligence. Because you, actually, Zoltan and Agaragus both. Well, just Zoltan. I don't think Agaragus would actually know anything about this guy. Because Agaragus doesn't know a whole lot about the drow. Agaragus just knows that they're not fond of the drow.
No, I don't know nothing.
No, I don't know nothing. But roll me an
Up
intelligence,
the head.
Zoltan.
What the heck? Yeah, it's so.
It won't be it's not an incredibly high DC because it's not like the modifiers are large when in intelligence, but you would have some kind of, possibly, depending on what you get.
Did I roll it correctly? I think I rolled.
Yeah, you did.
Jesus, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, well, that didn't quite work out the way I thought it would, but I will say this.
What's wrong with me?
He's not a half elf, right? He's not a half elf. He's not half drow. Yet he can grow a beard and a mustache. And something about that registers with you and you don't know why. You know that that's important, that's significant. But you can't really place your finger on why that would be important. It's almost like you're trying to recall like a nursery rhyme or something, or like a bit of history or lore that somebody told you about your people once, but you're not entirely sure, type of thing, you know? And it's like, oh man.
One time we saw Babyface, but
Yeah.
I don't remember why.
Yeah, like, why was I paying more attention to that butterfly and not paying attention to what I was learning, you know, type of thing. But you know, the beard and the mustache is significant for this this drow, right? And and the fact that he's full drow makes it even more significant. And for that reason, though, you just instinctively know that you should, and it's really up to you, but there's a type of like respect or maybe fear or something, you know, that this guy is not just like your everyday average drow, you know?
May I ask him in Drow what house he comes from?
Do what?
In Drow, can I ask him what house he comes from?
You may.
I ask him in Drow, what house did he come from?
He looks at you for a minute. He says, he says in Drow back to you, he says, I'm from House Veyron. And then it kicks into your head. You know exactly why that's important. Because he's full drow, but he's not, if that makes any sense.
He's a scientific thing, am I saying?
No, he's half drow, half high elf. He's legend has it that amongst your people, that Corlon the Rethian and Loth had a son. And his name was
Full fucking spider.
and his name was Veyron. And he is the only male drow to have his own house.
Well,
And as a result of it, he can do weird things like grow a beard and mustache and stuff, because apparently a high elf and drow kind of mix weird, right?
because Coralon the Rethian gave him the testosterone gene.
Yeah, like but you also know that if that's the case, right, that also freaks you out, because you thought that was just a story, like a fable. And if that's the truth, if House Veyron actually exists, right, then that means House Selfstrong exists too. And that's, even though that's not anything you need to worry about, you know that that's kind of a scary thing, because the legends behind Selfstrong are pretty bad as well. But you quickly push that thought from your mind. You're like, no, I'm not going to dwell on that for now. You know, what's important is that you're actually talking to the Veyron.
Yuko just looks at Yoshi and like, hey, so I don't kill it?
Yoshi's all looking, and she looks at it. She looks at him. She looks at you, Quill, and then she
brother.
Yeah, and then she looks at him and she goes, I really wish you weren't so blatantly, so blatantly rude.
Oh, so I don't care. Okay.
No, she's saying that to him. She's not saying that to you. She just looks at you, Quill, and she just kind of wags her finger like, no. Right?
At least.
Yeah, she's like, no. But she says that to Veyron. She doesn't say that to you.
You quote visibly does a pouty face at her.
She's got nothing but respect for you, Quill. She grew up.
That's what.
She's got memories of watching you like kill orcs by the horde as a child when she was a child. You know what I mean? Like.
That's what I say. You quote does the pouty face like, oh, come on, you want to see it one more time.
You and Android are kind of like her big
What
brothers
does
in
that
a
mean?
weird way, you know.
So I tried to breathe my drink and it hasn't went away.
Veyron just he concedes a nod in Yoshi's direction, and then he says, "Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lord Veyron of House Veyron. You can call me Veyron Lorethian if you so wish, but I just prefer Veyron if it please you."
So you are Coralon's son? Android kind of asks because he's ignorant, you know.
He looks at you, Zoltan, and he goes, "What about you, boy? You're part my kind, aren't you? What do you know of me?" Does
I
my
know that legend says that Aloth and Coralon had a child, but we just thought it was a legend.
says that's the problem with you West Underworlders. You don't actually know the truths, and they just become legends. And only the privileged get to go through the mist walls back and forth easily. Says it's not a legend, you are correct. What they don't tell you is that Coralon visited my mother after he had banished her. We were full-fledged drow by the time they met once more and shared their intimate night together, only to have him vanish once again. So it's any wonder that my mother would be displeased with our father. And he just kind of smiles at Yoshi for a minute. Says, though, to be fair, I don't blame my father, because my mother is well, she's a demonic hag, if I'm being honest with you. Regardless, I've actually come to speak with Yoshi on behalf of, and he points at you, Agaragis, and he goes, you, actually. The little mic in it.
Hello?
Says hello. Says that, sorry for the subterfuge, but that little deal that you were informed of, that wasn't actually with my mother. That was with me. Says now...
You call chewing on the pipe again.
He goes, with that said, the plan is still the plan. But I have some things for you.
Android's doing is like blink.
You know, like, what?
Is that right?
He says, yes. In fact, I'll be needing the assistance of all of you, actually. In a, Agaragis' job was to find you all and bring you all together so that we may have a formal introduction. I appreciate them carrying it out.
I see. He kind of raises an eyebrow.
Equal said, so gold's involved.
Of a sort, yes. It seems that we have a problem in the Eastern Underworld that I think we could use your particular set of skills handling.
How come McGarrick has mentioned nothing of this?
They were told not to. And to be honest with yourself,
It speaks.
he says,
That was part of what was so freaky about it.
he says,
I missed this. When did it speak? Show me, little thing, you speak.
says, be honest with yourselves. How many of you have ever seen a myconid before?
I mean, fair enough.
Says, if it just showed up one day and said, hey, I have a job for you, would you not be a more, especially one such as Agaricus here, who is quite special amongst their people?
Well, maybe if it had pled its case invoking the name of Yoshi, we might have been willing to hear them out.
Oh, my dear sister here didn't even know she had a brother until just recently.
Or gold. Could have led with gold. Gold always seems to work.
Yoshi says, it's true. This is one of the, yet another one of my father's mortal conquests that he did not inform me of.
Good man, good man.
Conquests.
Good man, good man.
He says, to be fair, I didn't even know I had a sister until she showed up, several years back within the underworld itself, and narrowly escaped my mother's attempt to sacrifice her.
Yuko stamps hard as the realization hits him. He's like, damn it, now I must bed two goddesses. Storms off to find wine.
Says, so, it's quite the ordeal, it is. He goes, but now that I've reunited with family, and he just kind of gives like a real smug smile in Yoshi's direction, and you see Yoshi just kind of visibly just irk, if you will. He says, we've set up connections between Lorethian and House Varen. Doesn't matter if my mother approves or not, because other than her house, my house is the strongest. No other house dare attempt to challenge me. And now that our father, our dear daddy, has become a god, as it were, I feel certain what can you say? Juices running through my veins. Almost as if something's awakened in me. As if my bloodline has strengthened as a result of it. So, nobody will complain now that Yoshi's untouchable. And, I could have you all there and back again in no time. If you would, you like it? You like it? If you all would be so kind as to escort me back to the East Underworld, which is located on the continent of Pangshun. Fortunately enough.
Didn't have a good time last time we were there.
You've never been there.
I thought we went. Did we not? Oh no, that's where Dum Dum was from. We didn't actually go.
Yeah. He says, if I heard you correctly, wasn't there a weird over there that is causing some kind of catastrophe here in the waking world?
Yeah.
That you need to find anyways? Help me with my problem, and I will help you with your problem.
Oh, damn it, I hate these heels. I like gold.
Android kind of looks at Yoshi. He's like, what do you think?
She sits
On a scale of 1 to fuck this.
Yeah. She sits there quietly for a minute and she says, Well, I'll give him this. He doesn't care for his mother. That much I know is true. And anybody who would avidly work against that woman, I suppose, is alright in my books. At least he's trustworthy enough to know that should he be lying for any reason, he will be met with opposition on my side. And he doesn't want to know what I can do. With what little power I have left, I will find him. He just kind of smiles for a minute. He goes, yes, let's all talk about me as if I'm not here.
Okay. Sounds like a good time.
He says, I swear, you have my word. You have my word on House Veyron, that as long as you assist me, you will be under my protection. Neither my mother nor any of the other houses of the underworld will hinder your progress at all.
Very well then.
What is it we're doing?
I like the fact that you quill just out of nowhere. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. I heard something about Coralon bagging another goddess, and I'm spun on that, and he's kicking down a spider lady. And what? Where are we going?
Can I take a pee break?
You need to take a pee break?
Yeah.
Go pee. We can take a minute if anybody else needs to pee or get something to eat or something. Go ahead.
Alright, I smoke infested.
Alright, go ahead. All right, let's continue. We'll get back into the lore of Post Malone and our friend later. So, all right,
Drop a
so
pic in the video.
we're back from the yeah. Oh, that's gonna definitely be a little intermission section right there. But getting back to the story. So basically, to just recap it, Veyron is offering you guys a trip over fast travel, basically to fast travel you over to the underworld that lies beneath Pengshun.
Finally unlocked fast travel?
Oh, what are we? Level 25?
On the continent of Pengshun. There, he's offering to do that if you all will assist him. He will assist you in locating the weird that exists on the continent of Pengshun.
Has he told us what we're assisting him with yet?
He
Or
has
is he just
not. He just said he has a particular problem that he could use your assistance with.
Does
That
it
was
involve
the
a kill or
part-
something?
That was the question you posed when he was over there contemplating, goddesses and things.
Yeah. He said, basically, I have a...
Brings a whole new meaning to 8 living freaks.
He says, I have a thorn in my side. Well, when Yuquil posts this question, he'll answer it. He says, I have a thorn in my side that I feel like you all could assist in taking care of. Just so you know, because I know that morality is a thing with you. No one will consider you wicked for handling this bit of business for me. You'll find that drow politics doesn't allow for moral conundrums. Either you survive or you don't. So, he points at Zoltan. He goes, he can confirm that. Tell him, boy. How often do you actually say that drow didn't have that coming to them? How often can you say that? Or better yet, let me rephrase it to you like that. Don't all drow have it coming to them eventually?
Eventually.
And there you have it. So if you're worried about a good or bad, just know that you're working in the gray area, which is all drow society.
What's your favorite type of work, you?
Hell yeah. And the thorn in the side would be...
No. I'd rather not release all the details till I know for sure that you're going to help me.
Shake on it? Question mark?
Says if you're worried about danger.
I mean, we're willing to help you, I guess. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, sort of ordeal. As long as nobody else has any other objections.
I'm joking.
Andrew kicks Agaricus down the stairs.
I like it.
No, I'm kidding.
To see this little butterball mushroom creature just...
I'm not yeet. Complain.
Says if you're worried about the danger of the situation, just know that it's going to be equally dangerous for me and mine to hunt down this weird. Because I'm sure that wherever they're located, it's not going to be friendly territory for me and my people, which nothing above ground usually is. He goes, it's actually quite fascinating that you all have drow just wandering around here so freely. Where I'm from, we come above ground and things are instantly ready to kill us. So
I mean, it's more of like a lost dog at this point. It just showed up and never left.
Hey,
That's true.
y'all never said kick it, so.
You know, we kind of thought we'd never see you again when you swam into the bag of holding.
Yeah. See, it's a complicated story. It's not like, it's not like he's always exposed to other people. Like, in fact, I think all the things he's been exposed to is orcs. And the ant thingies and...
I don't have most shows social life.
He really hasn't been with us in very many civilized places, has he?
No. And I mean, you know, they're orcs and ant thingies. They don't give a shit.
Yeah, Yuko just comes to the realization that he really never was around, like, in anywhere that probably would have taken discomfort with his appearance. I figure our group's just basically like, yeah, that's a Tuesday.
Says, well,
shows up out of nowhere.
if I'm to understand this correctly, you guys just off in another nation, not too far from here. There's an actual drow embassy that sits there, so
That place.
perhaps they don't, perhaps we're still looked upon rather suspiciously, but I mean, the fact that we actually have commerce set above ground.
Did we know about that? I feel like we knew about that.
You did know about that.
Yeah,
That's
because the woman talked to me.
Oh, that's right. And look, I've kind of slept since then. Not completely, but, we've done a lot of shit, okay?
Says, well, it's baffling, to say the least, because the drow side of me says that is completely useless. Why do we even care about concerning ourselves with what happens above ground?
Huh?
But another part of me is also utterly fascinated, so take that for what it's worth.
Fair enough, I suppose. Yeah, Yuko's just like, I don't know, we've just grown used to weird shit happening to especially our group, so we don't think much of it a lot of the times, even though we probably should. You see like a disturbed, contemplative look, like he's like that hurt his head to come up with that sentence. He's like, now that you've mentioned it, what the fuck is even, what the hell? Too busy with other shit. Fucking demons and shit, and then fucking goddamn drought, what the fuck? He pops the bottle again.
Says, well, I feel like we've beaten this subject to death, so do we have a deal or not?
Hugo just looks at Android, shrugs, and is like, fuck, I don't know. Sure. It's not the dumbest thing we've ever done, by far.
Definitely not the dumbest thing we've ever done. Like I said, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours at this point. If Yoshi trusts you, then I trust you.
He just smiles and he says, oh, Yoshi has all the reason in the world to trust me, don't you? She just kind of, no. But I'm going to assume that you will uphold your end of the bargain. Says, but of course. Says, see, what's the word I'm looking for? Crap, I can't even think of the word I'm looking for.
Disclosure?
No, it's kind of like a disclosure, but when you can like see through something, you're saying like full...
Transparency?
Transparency, yes. Golly, man. Great DM, guys. Okay.
Usually.
Full transparency here. Just so you know, because Yoshi is willing to help me find you and assist you and get you to assist me, I'm going to supply Yoshi with enough of my own troops to keep her people in line, as it were, to ensure that this little civil matter she seems to be stuck in, since she can't handle it on her own now, as it were. Well, she will now have enough resources to handle it. So you're not only helping me, you're also helping Yoshi. Kelm, who's been quiet this entire time, just says, I don't quite see it that way, but fine.
Yeah.
I look at him, as he looks at him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Android's like, yeah. Well,
And if worst comes to worst, we gained intel on an enemy we may have to kill, so what's the worst that can happen?
Kelm just says, let it be known right now that when the time comes, should we want to sever ties, ties will be severed. This is still my kingdom.
Android just kind of points at Kelm, like, yeah, right on, rock and roll.
Veyron says, but of course. I mean, I get it. You're the king. Yoshi's just your advisor. It's not like you're some figurehead, some symbol of power or anything, while the real power sits here, quietly contemplating all day. Oh no. I would never make that mistake in thinking that. Never. But again, I feel like we've talked enough. If you all want to escort me home, we can begin this little...
Yukul does kind of giggle at that. He's like, that's actually good work.
What a dick.
Well, he is a drow.
I say Yukul approves of this message. It was kind of funny. I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of douchery. That's Yukul's specialty.
He says, I have set up a mist gate here in Lorethian that will escort us back to the underworld in Pangshun. You may feel a little tingle, but it'll be more of a tickle than a pinch. If you've never traveled through a mist gate before, just don't freak out. You'll be fine, I promise.
I don't like that.
No, you have not. You know of them, though. You do know of them. Because, it's the form of fast travel between the West Underworld and the East Underworld. Unless you want to take the dangerous way of doing that, of traveling them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it traveled the middle world, as they call it, which is extremely dangerous. We've talked about this before. It's the middle world is like the connecting underworld that connects the east and the west, but because it runs literally underneath a desert, it's full of like tunnels that are constantly collapsing, and new tunnels are being formed every day, and it's a real cannonball run, if you will. Unless you have the convenience of a mistgate, which just instantly fast travels you to one or the other. So he steps forward and he unveils the mistgate. And it's basically just a stone archway that just stands by itself. And it looks like it's constantly raining mist inside its doorway. Just as if you're gonna walk into as if walking through it, you would just be hit with a drizzle, if you will, Just. He says, I will go first to show goodwill. I expect that if I step through, you will follow. And with that, he steps into the mistgate. You watch as it looks like he just turns to literal, just water. Just, particled water, and he just dissipates with inside the gate.
It's metal as
Sounds like this is
fuck.
gonna be fun. Cool's like, well, I was late for the shit. He kind of like tucks his shield close and he's like, "So you on the other side?"
You step into the mist gate and you do. It feels like you feel tingly. It, like you said, it's more of a tickle than like a pinch.
Uh-huh.
It feels as if like you have an itch that you can't scratch because it's on the inside of your skin, not on the outside. Like almost like an itch on your ribs and on your legs, like just underneath the skin, and you can't scratch it, and you feel as your body begins to like dissipate and become mist, and you just and discombobulate basically.
Yay, discombobulated.
What about everybody else?
I guess Android is gonna say tally ho.
Android steps in, same thing. Agaragis and Zoltan, what about you?
I follow behind.
Same
I do
thing.
the same thing.
Zoltan, as you're going to leave, Tala, Yoshi's Grove Guardian wolf, she steps up, like stands up and like puts a paw on your chest, and it's a big paw, right? Like we're talking like a paw so big it almost like takes up your whole chest. That's how big this animal is. And she looks at you and she says, "Be careful."
I planned on it.
She says, "He seems oddly interested in you more than anybody else."
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
She says, "And don't let him know that I told you this. The entire time he was here, he didn't realize I could speak."
Alrighty.
And you just see Yoshi smirk as if she just, her and Kelm kind of smirk at each other as if they've got their own secrets. And Tala goes back to laying back down. Like they had Tala there the entire time pretending like she couldn't talk, even comprehend. So,
I just don't know how it's gonna work with the hourglass. That's what I'm afraid of, honestly. If it'll mess up the hourglass even more.
well, you step in and you seem to dissipate like everybody else. And what everybody else experiences, it almost feels like you experience the water cycle. You are literally turned to mist and then sucked up into something unknown. And then it feels like you are just like rushing wind, as if you're just floating on the wind, flying in vapor, just, and then rained back down before this gate and return back whole. And it's you're damp, but you're not wet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's almost like the second you exit the gate, you almost dry instantly as each of you step through. You all come out into a large hall that looks to be built from the inside of some kind of stone structure, but it's been honed and carved smooth and solid. The ground and everything is it's been fashioned down so much that it's almost been marbled by how from the what looks like to be the friction, almost like eventually they just quit carving and just started sanding or something, and it marbled the inside of this structure. But it's not, it's gray marble. It's almost like granite marbling, and it's real fancy. It's real nice looking, if not somewhat like gothic. As he introduces, his home to all of you. You all are standing inside this foyer of basically what would be a manor. You all are no stranger to what the inside of manors look like, and this is definitely a manor. And he says, "Welcome to House Veyrun. It's not much, I admit." You know, he says very pompously. He says, "But I call it home." Says, here,
Very humble.
he says, "Yes, indeed, quite." He goes, "Here, all your needs will be attended to by my assistant. Should you, have any that you need." And then he, like, you know, snaps his fingers, and he says, "Shaylin. Or Shylin." She steps forward and she says, "Yes, Lord Faerun." She says, he says, "Fetch anything that my guests need here to, relax a little bit before we get down to business. I want them to experience all the delights that I have to offer, should they want, before we continue on." She says, "Yes, Lord." Sir. And he makes his way into like a room, you know, off to the side there. And she looks and she says, "Anything you would like is yours for the taking." Zoltan, you're looking around, spotting to see if you notice anything off. Nothing seems off. There are drow there, men and women alike, but none of them.
You noticed that put a spot on.
Yeah, I noticed that you put that spot on. The drow that you see, Shylin herself is a tall, thin drow. She's got dark hair instead of white, which can sometimes happen with drow, but she still has the typical pale, or she's got paler skin than the darker skin as well. This sometimes seems to happen with drow. You get the sense that maybe she's half drow as well, not necessarily full-blooded drow. You think she might be like you, half drow, half human, which is interesting to you. You also see drow men walking around who are cloaked, and they have these deadly weapons. They none of them seem aggressive, but they are keeping an eye on you. But for the most part, they don't seem to be acting like you're not getting a sense that it's like, "Oh no, we've been tricked," you know. And again, their skin seems lighter than your typical drow, which means that they too might be half as well. You're beginning to pick up a theme running here, that Faerun himself, being half, only employs half-blood drow of a type. Because that's you're beginning to notice that all the drow here are half-breeds, not even full-blooded.
Zoltan's still not liking this one bit.
So Shylin looks at you all and she says, "What can I do for you?" And she just smiles. She says, "We have all sorts of delights and things for you to enjoy. Should you, we have foods that you may have never had, drinks that you may never had, entertainment," and she kind of raises a singular eyebrow at you, Yukwil.
Yeah.
Yeah. "We have all sorts of things for you to enjoy. It is Lord Veyrun's humblest wish that you all come and enjoy yourself here for one night before getting to business in the morning."
Fair enough, I guess.
Yuko just looks at Android and he's like the old days?
Yeah, suppose so.
A little fun before work never hurt.
Android, you could feel like Solar's like talons kind of digging into your shoulder a little bit. Like he just feels, you can sense like he feels nervous a little bit. It's almost like he's apprehensive all of a sudden, but you're not entirely sure why.
Don't drink the water. It's poisoned.
Oh, I hope it is. Just mostly because it'll have little to no effect.
She says, "May I show you to your rooms?"
People's like, so if we wanted to have a little
Soiree?
yes.
You're free to wander as much as you like.
Oh, we just need a small area where it's just a small fire and where he can be ignorantly loud. Yeah.
Says, "Of course. Anything you require." She says, "The only thing that we ask is that if you leave the house, you are escorted by some of our guard, so others know that you're untouchable."
Fair enough. And plan on it being.
She says, "It will not be too strange, however. We do have oddities here in the city, and I ask that if you wander the city, anything you see, you understand that you are not home anymore. So I ask that you be as polite as possible and not offend anyone."
Yuko just gives like the most grim smile that he's probably ever graced anybody with. He's like, "Oh, trust me, I never wish to return to home." With that excessive, you know what I mean? Like he's speaking of his homeland.
Yeah, I get you. She says, "Oh," now she doesn't necessarily understand that, but she says, "Oh, well, maybe excuse me, I just burped. Solid. That was a solid burp, y'all." She says, "Oh, my bad." She says, "Oh, well, maybe after this particular endeavor is finished, you can speak with my lord about taking on permanent residency here as maybe a personal guard or something. I don't know."
Who just smiles. It's like, probably not. It does seem. It just kind of looks over real quick. Intriguing, at the least.
Something.
She says, "You know, there is a we call it the Den of the Purple Lotus here in the city that I think you all might appreciate. You all seem," and she taps her like bottom lip with like her slender index finger, you know, like tense.
Damn it, this bitch is about to turn us into a bunch of fucking lotus eaters.
A little intense.
That ain't cool. That ain't right. I ain't about this anymore. Dalton wishes to go to his room. Dalton doesn't like drugs. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, you do
Just
know
ain't right.
exactly what a purple lotus is. Well, no, actually, you don't. Lotus is not a lotus is not a common flower over where you guys are from. Like, not a single one of you have ever seen a lotus. To be fair,
Like,
not a single, not
Yeah.
a single one of you would have ever seen a lotus.
I know. That's why this sucks.
Exactly. Because now, yeah, she's got a Yuko.
She said, "Yeah, oh yeah." Yupo's like, "I'm listening. I'm listening."
You've got my interest now, young lady.
Like, oh yeah, you Quill.
Android's kind of like slowly starting to. I feel like he's kind of like, like you said, Solar's digging into his shoulder. I think he's being a little bit more keen.
Yeah, like every once in a while, you
He's
just
like,
feel like,
oh fuck.
like every once in a while, you can just feel like Solar kind of shake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like a dog after you give it a bath, how it's cold and they just kind of spasm a little bit.
Yeah.
You feel him doing that little thing, and you don't really know why. Again, like, but he's just digging in, and he's like looking around.
They saying weird shit.
You Quill. The dragon in you begins to stir.
Yeah.
Like she's talking about like in indulgence and
Yes.
dragons.
Yes.
Like you feel it. Yeah, you feel it. You feel it stirring. So she says this, and she's like, so this den in the city might help you unwind a little bit before tomorrow's endeavors. If you're at all concerned, she looks at you, Zoltan, and Android for that matter. She can't really get a read on a Garrigus, if I'm being honest. Because a Garrigus, yeah. What's that?
I said good.
Yeah, well, because I mean, a Garrigus is just a Garrigus, right? Just
Exactly.
but no, but she sees that Uquil is increasingly growing hot for her deal, but with Android and Zoltan, she says, let me explain. You are safe. As safe as you possibly can be. My Lord Veyron would not bring you here just to undermine the deal. It is just his wish that he has been dealing with a lot here lately, and he needs his own rest. So he would prefer that we get started in the morning. Until then, he wants you to enjoy your time with him as much as you possibly can. I personally consider me his voice, his liaison, as it were. I'm going to ensure that nothing happens to you. And supply you with anything that your heart could desire while you're here, within reason. And if we have it, it is yours.
The way she's talking is starting to make Android a little shook. Because I think he's starting to like pick up what's going on here and who this might be, and it's making him sick.
Zoltan does have a question. Is she said anything they have here? Does that involve like the whole city or just in their real estate?
As I said, if you all were interested, I will take you to the Den of the Purple Lotus, and that's here in the city. It is a Lotus bar where you can relax and indulge in some of the finer things that we have to offer. It's completely paid for. Money is not an option here.
I was more talking about some stones that I could acquire while I'm here.
She kind of looks at you for a minute. Zoltan just kind of confused, and she says, well, that's... And she almost says something like that would come across as rude, but she like catches herself and she says, attainable, of course. Stones, if you want stones, we can get you stones. Any kind of stone in particular?
I don't know what makes the Thunderstone that I hold, but the ingredients to make the Thunderstone that I have.
She says, oh, I see. She
Oh,
says,
wait.
well,
Stone, prism, flint, and steel are just some of the materials, but the real ones are only known by me.
she says, oh, of course. I will, yeah. We can take you around and gather what you need for that, if you so wish. And then she looks at you, Agaragis, and she says, and I assume that you're going to want to accompany your friend in finding those materials?
He nods his head.
I really don't like the way she worded that.
She says, very well then. And then she looks at you, Android, and then at you, Yuquil, and she says, and what about you two? To the den?
I suppose there's no other choice, huh?
Yeah, you cool never backs away from a challenge no matter what it is.
Says, oh, good. You all will enjoy your stay there. And with that, she flicks her fingers and snaps her fingers, and some guards come and they present themselves and begin to escort you guys out of the manor. You see that this manor is a manor built inside of a hollowed out stalagmite. A massive stalagmite. Like, in the underworld, okay, so you, Quill, and Android, you guys have never been in the underworld before. You are basically in the equivalent of a massive cave, like a giant cavern that is so wide you cannot see east to west, left to right. You don't know where this thing ends. And it is so tall that when you look up, you don't see sky, all you see is blackness. And you see stalagmites so large they could be mountains topside, with peaks so high they disappear into the skyline. You see? And they're carved out. And a lot of them have like circular patterns of windows that are carved into them that are lit, and they spiral down the stalagmites in these grand visions. Some of them are larger than others. Some of them are quite small and about the size of what you would expect out of a house. But everything is just basically carved out stalagmites. Every structure is just a carved out stalagmite. And you see drow, which you've seen before, but you begin to see other things walking around the underworld, the drow city here as well. Creatures you've never seen before are walking around. You see one that looks like a large mole creature, maybe like a crossbreed between a mole and a rat. You see some of these like little guys like this. They're not very big. They're slightly bigger than Yoshi, right? But not as...
That's fucked up.
Yeah, but not as tall they're slightly bigger than Agaragis, but not as tall as like Juxta from earlier, right? Not as big as a hobgoblin, but not as small as a myconid. And they're like little merchant creatures, and they're like talking to each other, and they're being overseen by what looks like a massive bat creature. And when I say massive, I mean these things are extremely large, and they just look like giant bats with, instead of having wings on their backs, it's like leathery folds mixing attached to their like sides and armpits and whatnot. The one that's overseeing these particular merchants, he looks real fancy. Like his little fur beard has like bows and braids tied up into it and stuff, and he wears like himself like one of those little fancy proper hats, that's all decorative with like a giant feather coming off the top of it. It's made out of felt with a wide brim hat. Yeah, you see these things walking around, which kind of feel a little off-putting, yeah. but nothing too terrible until you begin to see the other things that are walking around here. You see what looks like a four-legged horseman that is mutated. Its skin is all blue, and it's got multiple eyes, and it looks like it's just pocked and bumpy with like disease, and it's got several mouths, and it just looks extremely pissed off, and it's pulling a cart. That's the thing, it's pulling a cart. Nobody's talking to it. It's not talking to anybody, but it's pulling a cart. And on the back of it, you see another group of those little mole-like creatures sitting on the back of the cart, and they're little merchants as well, trying to sell their wares as well. It's extremely off-putting. Normally, I would make you roll a sanity check, having seen something quite like this, with its multiple mouths, like its mutated face. It looks like its face has been melted. You know, like nothing is symmetrical on its face. Like it's got four eyes, but they're not directly across from each other. Everything just looks melted on it. But considering some of the things you've seen, like when you fought the crawling head, this, that was so bad that you can almost stomach this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like once you see something too like outrageous, you're like, okay, yeah, dumb shit.
Yeah, the crawling.
I like it.
Yeah, the crawling head was like an eldritch horror, but this thing, yeah, it's bad, but it's not the worst thing, right?
Yeah,
you've seen worse things, right? You also see like a floating head. It looks like a floating head, flying by. It's got one singular eye in the center of its head with the mouth open up, and it's got all these teeth and a long tongue. And then coming off of it, it's got four stalks on it. In each stalk, there's an eye. But it's not a very large creature. It's actually quite small. It's about the size of like a normal human head, actually. As it goes floating by. And it's like talking to certain things in its own language and stuff. And you see drow, of course, I mentioned that, but these are all the different kinds of denizens that live in there. You see what looks like goat people. These people look like goats.
God damn it.
Humanoid goat men. You see people clad in armor. They're head to toe clad in armor except for their heads. Their heads are just like glowing spheres. They're not even attached by the neck, is the thing. Like the rest of their body looks like it's all attached by the armor, and it's all white and it glows except for their heads that just seems to float above their body and glow. And everybody seems... This is a bustling, busy place. Everybody seems to be doing something. Everybody seems to be going somewhere or making deals and talking with one another. You even see what looks like probably like the worst thing you could possibly see. This thing looks, it's clad in robes, and it's got these long like fingernails on these purple, what looks like slimy hands, and its head just looks like a big old bulbous slimy purple creature, and covering its mouth it just has like all these tendrils hanging from its face. And they're walking by and they're talking. Everything seems to be busy. This is a very busy, thriving community within the drow city here. And then you see oddly enough, you see some of Agaragus's people. You do see these Myconid, like Agaragus, only these Myconid are taller and they're more humanoid in shape with their, but they're mushroom-like as well, but they're way taller. They're almost as tall as you, Quill. You know,
So I'm the weird one, huh?
they're almost as they're almost as tall as they're almost as tall as you, Android, actually, because Yukwil is fairly taller than you are, but they're almost, you know what I'm saying? Like these Myconid come up to like your chest, Android. These are tall Myconid, and they're walking around, and they'll stop and speak with people as well. So you've seen all the denizens that live within inside this busy city, and as you guys are looking at all these different things, Shyla looks at you all and she says, yes, the Drow City here, we are probably one of the most thriving, if not the most thriving community within all of the Eastern Underworld. Some argue that maybe we shouldn't have so many different kinds of denizens coming in and out of our city, but we keep it safe. And every one of these that you see aren't affiliated with their original people anyways. So we figure, why not? Why not have commerce throughout the lands? You know? There's always something going on here in the Drow City, as long as they all understand that when they're here in our city, we are the Drow, and they are not. So she takes you guys to this one. It looks like a boulder more than anything. Just this large boulder that stretches back. It's as long as it is wide, and it's carved out and hollowed out, and it looks like it's kind of leading. Almost like when you go into it, you're going into like a top shell, and then it's got a stairwell that leads downwards past a velvet purple curtain. And standing there, you just see you don't see Drow, actually. You see two of those goat men standing there, almost like they're bodyguards for this place, standing at the doorway. She says, welcome to the Den of the Purple Lotus. She says, I will present you with some guards here, and she motions to the guards, and she says, they will inform the bodyguards here, the bouncers, that you are friends of Veyron, and that everything you purchase tonight is to be on his tab, as it were. Money will be no option. She says, I'd go in with you, but I've got to assist your friend Zoltan here and Agaragus to whatever it is that they're looking for. So what do y'all do?
Big sad face.
Yeah. Big sad face. Says, what can so what do you guys do?
Agaricus just looks at Zoltan.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Agaragus, you've never seen Myconid like that before. So even you were kind of surprised. You've never seen Myconid like that.
You might even be a little racist.
Look at these Myconid.
So, oh. Why do they look like that?
Why
That's
do they
ironic.
look like that? What is wrong with them? Android, Solar, you can feel him just getting more and more anxious as you like look down that stairwell. Solar just kind of looks at you and he kind of whispers to you. He says, "There's no way."
I know.
He goes, "There's no way. I can't." He goes, "I can't go down there. I can't." He goes, "I didn't realize." He goes, "I'm underground." He goes,
This
"I mean,
is true.
it's different when we're in the tunnels." He goes, "But this is deep. I can feel it. This is the deepest underground I've ever been." He goes, "I'm freaking out."
Freaking out, man.
He goes, "Just do me a favor and desummon me."
I was getting ready to ask.
Says, "If you need me, I will come back. I will come running. But until then, I cannot be here any longer." He goes, "And you, be mindful of the things you do while you're here. These people are hedonistic."
Oh, well, okay. Then fairly well then. Android gives him the old cuttage of the rope.
A beam of light.
Old 21 gun salute.
Yeah, the cylinder of light just shoots down from who knows where, the celestial bodies, and covers Solar and just wow, shifts him back up to his realm. And Shyla just looks at it. At first, all the guards kind of motion like they're ready to attack. Like, what the, you know? But Shyla just waves her hand and calms them all, and she says, "How interesting." She says, "Well, you all are full of many surprises, aren't you?"
Love
Sure.
to show you more.
She whispers to one of the guards, and he nods, and she says, she looks at you, Zoltan, and she says, "The guard will assist you in finding what it is you need to find. I'm going to stay and see what else there is to know about our other guests here."
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
She says, "You're quite safe, I promise you."
no one that says that ever means it.
Agreed.
She says, "Oh, Agaricus, I promise you that Veyron, if anything happens to you, Veyron will take it out on me, and nothing that happens to you will be nearly as bad as what he will do to me. I can assure you of
On a
that."
rock on purpose.
Do what?
I say Zoltan falls and trips on a rock and break his arm on purpose.
She says, "No!" and cracks it back into place. Slaps you, "Knock it off! You impotent child!" No.
That's Yuko's job later, Fred.
She says, "But yeah," she says, "nothing that happens to you will be nearly as bad as what he will do to me." She says, "I promise you that. These men here," and she motions to the guards. She says, "they will gladly give their lives to protect you. It won't even be a question."
The guards look at one another. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They're
Actually,
like, hold on.
They do, actually. They do. They all look at each other for a minute, and she says, "Example." And she says, she looks at you, Agaricus, and she goes, "Pick one. Just pick one."
Oh no, she's gonna have one kill another one.
Oh, no. Well, how many are there? What?
He's so dead.
She says, "Just pick one."
The second one? I don't know.
She points at that one, and he just nods and slits his own throat.
Oh!
Hits the ground.
Whoa.
Hey, Yuko just pulls out his flask and he's like, well, I guess she was
I
alive.
knew it.
She says, you chose him. That's the power that you have over these guards. They will do whatever you ask of them. She says, now, clean that filth up. And two of the guards just pick him up and toss him outside. Just
Look what you did, Garrigus. You made a mess.
He just sits puzzled and quietly.
says, yes, clearly your actions have consequences. So do your questions. Maybe it's better that you just fulfill your part, your duty here, and not worry so much.
That causes you to tuck an eyebrow. That's funny.
And with that, she turns and looks at you, Android, and you, Quill. I mean, like, before there's any time to really contemplate it much anymore either. She just turns around and looks at you all, and she says, shall we go, gentlemen? And she, like, walks up to you two and, like, puts an arm around each of your necks, you know? Like, standing in between the two of you. And she goes, let's go and enjoy ourselves, shall we? She says, well, she looks at you, Android, and she says, if you'd rather, I don't want to make you feel like uncomfortable. If you'd rather escort your two friends and make sure that they stay safe, that's more than understandable. She goes, I'm sure me and you, Quill, can find something to do.
That's not what I mean. I am just weary of this whole situation.
She says, don't be. I assure you that come morning, Lord Varen will explain what you're doing here. And, you know, we'll get the show on the road.
Come morning, huh?
Well,
okay.
That's the thing. I promise you that Lord Varen has no underhanded plots concerning you. You and your friends will all be well taken care of, and then come morning, he will explain what he needs you to do for him. That's all I mean. You're more than welcome to roll a sense motive. Anybody who wants, by the way, y'all are welcome to roll sense motives on this. By the way.
I just don't like the way you make it sound.
No, Yuko just kind of like gives Android a smirk. He's like, they won't do anything too dangerous. Cannon fire's only good if it's walking. And he smiles.
I love how Quill is the only one who's just like, I feel good right now.
You kills the tank and you literally take thousands of hits.
Yeah, and that's why Android feels the need to keep tabs on you, Quill.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
It won't hurt the cannon fodder.
Android's not so much as worried about Quill's ability to fight in this situation as much as Quill's just ability to go with the flow in certain situations. Sometimes.
Truly.
Yeah. Quill's biggest weakness is not, whether or not somebody can martially take him down. I'm quickly learning about Quill. I love it, by the way. Continue playing D&D. So Android and Zoltan. Android, as far as, so both of you, Zoltan and Android, as far as you guys can tell, she's been on the level. It doesn't seem like she means you any harm, per se. Right? Like, it seems like she's being honest when she says that her boss has no intention of doing you any harm. She seems to be being as genuine as possible. But there is something. There is something there she's not telling you. And that's really what's throwing you off. It's almost like you're picking up on something off. Like, maybe the thing is the fact that, like, anybody else in this situation might be actually acting like you, Quill. Like, come on, man, they just want to show us a good time, and then we go and do this job for them. How is that wrong? Maybe you're just finely tuning to something else. It's almost like a person that everybody likes, except for that one guy who just senses something off about the guy to such an extent that, like, they just cannot like them. It's that sort of same feeling. Like, you just feel like, yeah, maybe she's being honest about what she's saying, but there's something here. There's something I don't like about all of this. Like, you know what I mean?
It's me.
Maybe it's you, but there is something. There is something. You just can't quite put your finger on it. You know what I mean? There's something not right, and you just don't know really what it is. But yeah, as far as what she's saying, yes, she's being honest. Lord Veyron has no intention of causing you harm. So what is she holding back? If she's being honest about that, then what is it that she's not being honest about?
She said Lord Veyron. She never said anything about herself.
So, do you wish to escort her to... Quill, I assume you're going with her, but what are you doing, Android?
Yeah, Android's gonna go with you, Quill.
And Zoltan and Agargus, you guys are going to go and start looking for ingredients, correct?
See,
Yes.
I asked Android if there's any ingredients that he would need for his manor, or whatever you want to call it.
You ask Android what now?
If he needs any ingredients for your manor, or...
Oh, if you want to collect as much as you can to provide to my alchemist to cultivate, that would be excellent. But, you know, that's just if you feel so inclined. Do not feel obligated.
Alrighty.
So, Zoltan and Agargus, the one guard, he comes stepping up and he says, I will be your guide. And you just tell me what you need and we will see what we can find. Says, pardon me, speak is not as fluent. I don't,
Why do you sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
como, he says, como, no.
Como es pendejo.
He says, this is you speak Drow?
Yes.
And then he switches to Drow and he goes, oh, good. I don't speak common very well, to be honest. And so, yeah, it's good to see that you speak Drow. He goes, you're a half Drow like me, aren't you?
Yes.
Says, interesting. Human?
Yes. What are you?
Human. Says, you used to live on 143rd Street? No, I'm just kidding. But says,
By the
neat.
Martians, yeah?
He says, neat. Cool, man. And he kind of salutes you. Goes, yeah. Us half-drow have to stick together, man. I tell you, if it wasn't for Lord Veyron, we'd be nothing but cannon fodder here. He's really given us a place. He says, you just tell me what you need, and we'll make sure, me and the rest of the guys will make sure you guys get it. And don't worry. Anybody steps to you, they're stepping to all of us.
Alrighty.
Zoltan's like, I don't want to like him. I can tell by the way he said that. Alright. Now he's like, oh shoot, I didn't want to find somebody I might actually like.
I'm not supposed to make friends here.
I'm supposed to hate this place with all my life.
Chipotle.
Stupid bitch.
He says, all right, let's go, bud. And he begins to take you. Android and Yukwil. Shyla can tell Android that she did not feel comfortable with her arm around your neck, so she takes it off, but she keeps it around Yukwil's. As you guys walk up, the two goat folk stop you and say something in their language, and she repeats it back to him. And she says, and you hear her say the word Veyrun in there, and they're just like, brr. And they open up the door, or they pull back the curtain and let you all in. And she kind of whispers to you too. She goes, Ebixians. Filthy, smelly little creatures, but they make good guards. They really do. You guys enter this den, and it is a club. There is stages in several areas with people dancing, men and women alike, dancing for the pleasure of the onlookers. And some of the stages look like they're made for basically some of the crowd, the actual visitors to dance on, while there's music being played in the background, you know, do 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 do. But no, yeah, it's actually the music is more like it is an interesting sound that like you're not entirely sure, because Android, you being a bard, have never quite heard an instrument quite like this before. It looks, you can see them playing it. It looks like a lute, but it's like larger than a lute, and it's got strings running off of it, but in different areas. Like it's got strings running across a fret like you would see on a lute, but then it's got strings on the side of it that are, and they all sit against this wheel. And as they crank the wheel, they touch these keys almost like on a piano, and it plays this like crazy sounding music that creates its own beat, plays like almost like a lute or a stringed instrument, but also with bass, but this like loud horn sounding noise. It's almost like this one instrument can what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost like this one instrument can encapsulate several different kinds of sounds all in one instrument, right? Shoot. What sucks, I guess, is the fact that now we can't share music as easily, so it's a lot harder for me to share it. You know what I'm saying? Or I would actually give you an example of it, but it goes like, I mean, it plays like an interesting sound that, like I said, you've never seen an instrument quite like this before. I have an idea. Hold on, we'll see if this works, okay? We're gonna kind of sidetrack things for a minute. See if I can share my screen here and you all can hear it. Let's see here. Okay, because if I share, then you all can hear what it is I can hear, right? Y'all can see what I see and hear what I hear. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you all click into that, I'll turn it on and you'll get kind of like a sound for it. And you can see the instrument that he's holding here in his hands, right? And then here's the sound. I don't know if y'all hear it or not, but we're gonna give it a shot.
Okie dokie.
All right. Did y'all
Young hurdy-gurdy.
get that? Okay.
Yeah.
So you've never seen something like this before. That is like the most one of probably like the most original like instruments you've probably ever seen. You know what I mean? Or heard.
Gertis Legurtus.
Yeah. Yeah. For the record, yeah, for listeners at home, it is a hurdy-gurdy, but that's not what they call it here in the campaign. But yeah, and yeah, so you hear all, like there. That's the instrument that's being played with inside this this place. You know what I mean? That's what they're playing as you guys step in there, and there's these stones. There's no torches actually lit. All the light is coming from these like crystals that glow purple and shine and illuminate. Some glow purple, some glow white, some glow pink, and it makes this weird like coloration with inside the place. And you see like in corners of the area, there's people sitting on giant pillows and stuff with these like tall pipes sitting in between them with like several hoses running off the sides. They're sitting there smoking these hookahs, you know, just while others are sitting at like bars, because there's several areas like this. There's several bar areas too where people are sitting there drinking these purplish liquids, where they're like sitting there with these like cubes that look like they're sugar, and they're sitting them on these spoons and lighting the cubes on fire and letting the sugar drip and melt into the liquid, and then they'll quickly flick the sugar cube into the drink and then drink it straight down. And you see, like I said, men and women. What is the word I'm looking for? Scantily dressed, walking amongst the crowd, dancing for people, and some are flirting, and it's just a den of ecstasy. It's a den of ecstasy. What do you all? Oh yeah, and so she looks and smiles and looks at you, and she said at you both, and she says, "Welcome to the den of the Purple Lotus. What would you all like to do?"
Anybody that talks like that.
Anybody that talks like
Yeah, for real.
Well, to be fair, Cassie, I don't know if this is how she would really talk, but I'm just doing my best.
Sounds good enough to me.
Close enough to be sus.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who talks like that. I love it. It's hilarious. Close enough to be sus. You're doing a good enough job to make it sus. Yes. Thank you. That's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me, Android.
So he takes pride in being a trap as well.
So, but yeah, Android and Uquill, ball is in your court. What would you all like to do?
Android's just gonna kind of follow Uquill's lead. Just following him around, kind of like, not keeping him on a leash exactly, but making sure he doesn't go overboard.
So that means Uquill. What would you like to do?
Overboard.
Ah! He just, so what you're saying is you just scream, strip all your clothes off, and run into the crowd butt naked and just start.
We don't tempt him with a good
You know,
time.
first of all, he kicks Android in the balls,
Yeah.
and then he goes running into the.
He wouldn't kick Android in the balls. He would slap him in the face and be like, "Get on the loop, boy. It's time to have fun." And then kick him in the balls.
Android is still on the wagon.
We're about to throw you the fuck off. Yeah, Yuko was just like, you know, he. I would say he's refined from like the shit that's gonna melt his face off, but he wants a hearty ale.
He wants a
hearty ale.
Okay, a hearty ale. So, Shyla takes you over to one of the bars, and there is so many people there that, like, people are literally standing in line to get a drink, you know? And instead of taking you into the line, she begins pushing her way through, and at first people, like, look to say something to her, but she flashes him the ring on her middle finger, which has the symbol of House Veyron on it. And it's like she has it. And when she flashes it to him, she doesn't flash him her whole hand with the middle finger. She actually drops her fingers down and only gives them her middle finger with the ring on it. You know?
Those nipples got hard.
Flipping them off, letting them know House Veyron. And when she does that, they back away. They instantly, people start scattering, and she gets up to the bar. And
Yuko's nipples are hard.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't wait in line. And she taps on the bar counter for the tender, and he's just like, he looks at her, and she flashes him the ring as well, but she doesn't do it so aggressively, you know, just lets him know, and he goes, "Milady," says, what can I get for you?" She says, "What would you like?" And she looks to Yukwil.
Yeah, it's just like pretty stout drink.
"So you want something stout?" He goes, "You want a little bit of you want it just stout, or do you want it sexy?" And he kind of gives you a half grin. And she looks at you and she goes, "You want it sexy. Trust me." And she kind of, when she says that, right, she doesn't look you directly, like, at you, because she's, like, considerably shorter than you. She kind of leans into you and lays her head on your, like, chest, you know, looking up at you with her eyes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I got you.
And she blinks, like, does the little fluttering of the eyes with a half smile when she says all that.
Yuko's like, "Sure, why not?"
Fuck this.
Yuko's down.
You buying this shit?
It's
Android's
Yuko,
all
of course he
grumbling.
is.
Android's all grumbling.
Yuko has a brothel to build, and he needs more conquests.
Fuck that brothel.
God.
I mean, that's the idea.
God, I missed D&D for those 2 weeks, man. I missed it so much. So, he makes you an ale, right? And you see the ale, it looks like a regular ale, and he goes, "Now to make it sexy," and he pulls out what looks like a purple flower. What looks like a dry purple flower, right? And he crushes it up, and then just kind of rubs it in his hands, and then lets the flakes pour into the ale, and then he slaps his hands together, and when he does that, he goes like that, and it lights on fire. A flame burns on the surface area of the ale, and then he blows it back out, and you watch as there's a thin layer now that has formed on top of the ale itself, and it only sits there for a minute before it dissolves into the ale. And because it's a glass mug, you can see the color of the ale begin to change from that amber to like a purple as that surface just dissolves into the rest of the drink, and it kind of shimmers a little bit. And he's right. It's sexy. You know? There's something
I
sexy
don't know,
about
that's
it.
what I would call about it. I would call it suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be
suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Anyways.
For the love of God, man, we've done way worse.
Yeah.
There was a force one time.
Shyla takes one single finger, her index finger, and dips it into your drink and pulls it out and then puts it in her own mouth and sucks it. Just,
oh, bitch!
and then she looks at
I
you.
like to imagine
Quill,
you actually, like, Android's actually back there and you Quill's not paying him no mind.
Yeah, Android's just like, this is... But yeah, she
This
does
is
that.
wrong.
Looks at you Quill, as she does that. Just... She goes, delicious.
Equal eats it.
He yeets it?
Eats it.
What do you mean? He throws it? Did you say yeets it?
Yes, he throws it back.
Oh, I see. He drinks it. He shoots it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, like he just shoots the whole thing back. Oh, just shoots
He's a
it back.
professional alcoholic, like majority of his life.
And then Android's like, oh, fuck me, he drank it. He just, like, is, like, looking off to the side. He, like, turns his head. Like, he turns his head and, like, then turns his whole body with it in suit. Like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God.
All right.
Corlon the Rethian, please be with me.
All right. Now, I don't want to alarm you. This doesn't necessarily mean what it means, right? But I do need you.
I know.
I do need you to roll me a fortitude.
Oh, fuck.
No, I knew it was coming when I did.
Yuko got roofied.
I mean, it's like I said, I'm not trying to alarm you. It's just one of those things, right?
I have to be a very strong person.
All right, yeah. So you feel its effects. It makes you feel pretty good. You feel kind of tingly, a little light. You know what I mean?
Nipples hard. I got you.
It's sort of bubbly in the brain. You're kind of feeling kind of loose, kind of good, but you don't really feel intoxicated per se. You know what I mean? But you liked it, and you can't help but just smile. You know what I mean? You're just kind of like, oh. And she looks at you and she goes, another? Don't know. I don't know.
Like, I'm not sure about that. Not bad, but I'm not sure if that's exactly my thing.
Because, well, we don't have to drink anymore. You can try, She goes, we have other things here. She goes, but I promise you, the more you indulge, the more this place will reveal itself.
He goes like, a couple more pretty stout drinks. Maybe not that one, but always a good time.
She goes, oh, you just want another drink.
Afford that.
She says, fair enough. She kind of motions to him, and the tender just pours you a regular ale. He goes, drink up.
You go text to the face. See you, bitch.
You don't necessarily need to roll a fortitude for that. It's just regular ale. Nothing really special about it, but it tastes like ale and you like it. You know what I mean?
Yes,
You
sir.
drink that, and she's like, come, let me take you through the garden. And she, when she says that, she's been wearing this like dress with this like sash that's clasped up over her chest, that's held by like a brooch. And she undoes the brooch and the sash falls away, revealing a much skimpier like outfit, underneath of it. And it leaves like a now that sash is almost like a train, on a dress. It becomes like one of those as the rest of her form is more revealed, and she takes you by the hand and begins to like sway her hips left and right in like a dancing motion as she begins to take you into the crowd.
Oh yeah, an android is glued to his hip because he's a cockfuck. Android's gonna be like right on his tail, like, where you going, you quill?
Hey, what you looking at?
Hey, what's this? You know the memes where you can very clearly tell it's a naked bitch behind like fucking a crusader who's like, stop, brother. We must go and help fight in the Holy Land. Pleasure is temporary. The kingdom of God is forever.
Yeah. I was thinking of like the TikToks where it's like about to show you something and then the dude that looks like Jesus just shows up and goes, hey, what you looking at?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, similar thing, yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, so that's what Android's doing. He's just like, nope, gonna be there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fair enough.
He's cock blocking.
Agaricus and Zoltan.
1 second. I think Agaricus is in the bathroom.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable. What is that? What is that? Why? Alright, well, while we wait, as soon as Agaricus gets back, let me know. I will say, you do go into the crowd, you Quill, with her, and she's dancing, and she lets go of your hand and lets you just kind of stand there in the crowd of these people. And there's all, not to weird you out, but they're in there dancing, and nobody seems to really give a crap. What I mean by that is everybody's rubbing against everybody, right? You don't have just women rubbing up against you right now. You have men and everybody. Like, everybody seems to just be feeling good, And, and she, like, kind of vanishes within all of this while she's dancing. And, you feel as the lights are, dancing around you and stuff, when the music starts to hit its hardest tempo, in the, like, its strongest crescendo, if you will, you feel what feels like mist begin to, like, fall from the ceiling, it's not heavy. It's not like some heavy downpour or anything, but it's this place you've been feeling kind of like crowded, and maybe it's hot, and this mist starts to come down on you and Android and cool your heads a little bit, but like it's sweet. It's water, but it's sweet. There's like a certain flavor to it that you guys can kind of taste and feel. Go ahead and do me a favor, both of you now. Roll me fortitude saves.
You a bitch.
What is that about? You said you were glued. You said you were glued to his hip, meaning like any kind of shenanigans he gets into now, you may get, maybe.
You know exactly what I mean. Don't play coy here.
All right, so, you Quill, Android, you're you're feeling kind of tingly. You know, you're feeling kind of like Uquill was earlier, right? Sort of, you know, you're feeling kind of happy despite yourself and despite your apprehension. You can't help but kind of smile a little bit. Uquill, however, you now are like moving up to like a newer level of this, like, you know, whimsical feeling, you know? It's like increasing in you now, and certain aspects are changing. Like now the lights seem, that white, purple, and pink that I was talking about seem to be melding into one another and forming like slight traces of light. Your vision isn't blurred. You can still make out pretty good detail, but light seems to be trailing itself now a little bit and maybe like bursting just ever so slightly and melding into one another, forming a color maybe unheard of. You know, maybe the colors are forming into something that you've never actually seen before, like a color from beyond. You know, something indescribable, and it's got you feeling kind of giddy a little bit. And now you're kind of, you notice, you look down at your own foot and you realize, oh my gosh, your foot is tapping to the rhythm. Just your foot. Not your whole body, but your foot. You know, it's kind of moving as if the rest of your foot is trying to get the rest of your body to just go with the rhythm, you know? And when the mist finally stops, Shyla returns to you and she's like dancing in your direction, and her whole body is swaying now as if she's in water. Hips, legs, all of it. Her arms are outstretched to either side and they're snaking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As she walks towards you, and she's like, are you having fun? And she takes you by the hands and begins to guide you further into what she calls the garden. Is Agaragus back?
Yeah.
All right. Now's a good time to switch over. Agarius and Zoltan, you guys are walking further into the city. Zoltan, I assume you've told this guard. Did you learn this guard's name by any chance?
No.
Okay. He's like, no, I didn't ask him his name. It's like, F this guy.
If anything, Agaricus could probably have him get killed too.
We'll call him Guard 1 then, okay?
Okay.
So you're walking with Guard 1, and I assume you told Guard 1 though the ingredients that you needed, so they're now searching the city, looking in different shops and talking to different vendors and stuff about like the certain ingredients that you need.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me a list of the ingredients that you need. What is it all that you need? Do you know?
Well, I only have 4, but you know, in the rest of the context of it says, however, the real secrets and process is only known by him. So I don't know the other, but the ones I do have are stone, prism, flint, and steel. But I don't know the rest of the combo that I need.
Okay, so the idea, because it's one of those storm stones, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to go and find so I can make more.
Okay, so what it is the real secrets and processes is really the secret, the processes, only you really know how to put them together and make this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the real secret is, what you're looking for the stone, the storm stone, right? The real secret is pure, unadulterated element. And what I mean by that is you know, the element of water and the element of air, right? You need both of those to create a storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that elemental beings actually exist. and that you can actually harvest their essence, if you will. We'll call it essence. You can harvest that from them. And combined with the rest of what you've got, you can create those storm stones. So what you're looking for is a vitamin extract of elemental essence from a water elemental and a air elemental. Yeah. And you know what taurine is, right?
Taurine?
Yeah, taurine. You find it in energy drinks.
Yeah.
It's a vitamin. It's a type of vitamin that's extracted from bulls, right? Actual bulls, like a living bull. Yeah. It's a vitamin that's extracted from a living bull. If anybody like listening to this right now knows what taurine is, think of that. Because I'm not gonna just come out and say what the process is there. But that's what it is. You're looking for this particular type of vitamin that you can extract from elementals, and what you're wanting is, this essence is what they call it, essence from air elemental and a water elemental.
So hypothetically, could I just take some of the essence from the water weird that we got from?
The water of life? No, because that is a whole different thing. All together, yeah. That's more than an elemental. You know what I'm saying? A weird is not just an elemental. It is a conduit, if you will.
Gotta go find an elemental now.
Well, I mean, all you gotta do is just find somebody who might be selling the essence. You don't necessarily need to... You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there's people that sell essences? Alright.
Well, I mean, you could ask,
I mean, we are in the underworld. There's probably...
that's pretty much what you've been doing, right? You've been walking around with these guys, and you got all the other stuff you really needed, but you've been looking for the essence. And you've been asking several different vendors and stuff, and they're just kind of like, them little mole creatures are just kind of like,
black market here.
Yeah, and they're, well, that's the thing. Like, you guys are struggling to find it because it's not an exactly easy thing to get, right? Elemental essence is not an easy thing to come by. Pardon the pun. But it's not an easy thing to come by. And so finding it isn't, but yeah, that's basically what it boils down to is eventually you get to talking to an Abaxian, right?
So,
and an Abaxian, this particular Abaxian, he, I'll show you what it is. It's them goat folk. They're also known as Abixians. Not Abaxians, but Abixians. This Abixian, he sits there for a minute after you guys get turned down at another shop, like another vendor. The Abixian goes, "Hey, you, come here. Hey, you, come here. Psst, psst."
Zoltan makes his way over there.
He's like standing, like, he's trying to be real inconspicuous, and he's standing there and he goes, "You looking for essence? Other things?"
Yes.
He goes, I can get it.
And how's that?
Because it's the market. It's the, it's the market. Because the Dragloths, the Dragloth market, they'll have it. Definitely.
I'll look at the guards and see if that's in our jurisdiction to go there.
As if guard one goes, if it's We go where you go.
Onto the market. Yeah.
The backseat
Do it up.
goes, "You'll be pleased. Come on." He just goes clopping. The guard one looks at the others and he goes, makes some hand motions, and they kind of, begin spreading out and taking different positions and following you guys. Guard one comes up to you, Zoltan, and he says to you as quietly as he can, he says, "Keep your eyes open, though. The Dragloths are not... This is not a friendly area. This is an underground market. A dirty place. Everybody in town knows where it is, and yet nobody tries to put a stop to it. And it's because the Dragloths know how to, they know how to kick their profits upstairs to the right hands, if you know what I'm saying. He goes, "But everybody who looks at us knows that we're with Lord Faerun, so we should be alright."
Alrighty.
So he takes you down corridors, like what looks like back alleyways in any normal city, except that they're formed by different stalagmites and just rock fixtures that create natural canyons down in this place, until you round about and find yourselves in a oh, I got a weather alert for a tornado. Neat. Anyways, but yeah, when you come around this way, you pass other like households and shops and stuff. It's not like you leave the actual city. You're still within the city when you do this. So every alleyway you take, it still has people and stuff going on there. It's just that when you exit, you come out into this large, just bazaar is what it is. It's just as far back as you can see, just nothing but different vendors and shops and things just going on, and none of it is indoors. It's all like regular stands and shops that you would see in any top surface city, with these people just, shoulder to shoulder selling their crap, just different things. And yeah, the smells and the spices and the things you see here are just, you walk by at one point in time and you swear you see somebody selling like jars full of like different, like what looks like pickled animals of some sort. Like one of them looks like a snake, a watery snake, but its mouth is like circular with like tons of teeth just lining it. And every once in a while, it lights itself up, just zzz, like it's just electrical, just zzz, And hold on a second, y'all. Hey, you guys. Hey, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry about this, but we're gonna have to cut it short tonight. Apparently I've got a tornado on the ground, and it's like in my area, and I've got sirens going off and everything.
What?
And stuff, yeah. It's pretty whack, but they're advising everybody to get into shelters and stuff like that.
Get to safety.
Yeah, so I better just cut it short.
We had a
for
good long
tonight.
session anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna try and cut it at 11:30. I had a good way to end it, but we'll just pick it up this way next week and get to doing what we're gonna do next week. For the listeners and viewers at home, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Sorry I got to cut it late tonight. Thank you to all my subscribers. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm truly blessed. If it sounds like I'm hurrying through this, it's only because I'm trying to hurry through this before my family gets down here and
You
everything.
can always re-record this later.
Everything becomes pandemonium. No, I'm just gonna hook onto it right here. We're good. Let's just fly by the seat of our pants with this one, y'all. Yeehaw. Thank you to them old school gamers, my group. Thank you guys. You guys are a blessing to me. I love y'all. Thank you to my subscribers. Love y'all, and y'all come back now. You hear?
Peace out, Girl Scout.